The skeleton mages and god-tier marksmen launched an all-out assault on the mouth of the venomous flood dragon. In the enhanced soldier skill state, their damage was increased tenfold. In an instant, the defensive layer was shattered. The flood dragon glared, bared its fangs, and inhaled powerfully, intending to annihilate the horde of skeletons blocking its path. At this moment, Lin Moyu detonated all of the skeleton warriors. All the abyssal elemental spirits were released as well. A radiant frenzy immediately appeared at the skeleton's feet. The moment the skeleton warriors exploded, Lin Moyu pointed again. His pets continuously unleashed skills like berserk bombardment and elemental detonation. In that instant, the entire area was filled with sparks and lightning. The target of the radiant aura was not only the venomous flood dragon but also several other flood dragon monsters nearby. The aura's range had a radius of 1,000 meters. The skeleton mages and god-tier marksmen were relatively far away, and their auras also enveloped some of the flood dragon monsters. The venomous flood dragon was hit so hard that its head was thrown back, and its suction force was interrupted. Lin Moyu assessed the situation, and made a decision. The item was in his hands. It was time to leave quickly. By now, the horde of monsters had surrounded him. The young man's eyes hardened with determination. If I can't handle the boss, do you think I can't handle you? My enhanced soldier state hasn't ended yet. A powerful spiritual force emanated from Lin Moyu's palm. He locked onto the surrounding monsters. Soul flames quickly incinerated the sharp-fanged bone monsters. A system notification appeared. Killed level 72 venomous python. Experience 4,320,000. After the bone spears impaled the monsters, Lin Moyu's gaze turned cold. Now there are corpses. He activated corpse explosion, and the resulting blast engulfed the entire space before him. Lin Moyu knew exactly how strong these monsters were. The young man's eyes narrowed as he muttered, "Allow me to give you a spectacular explosion." Boom, boom, boom. Sky-shaking explosions rang out as a series of notifications appeared. Killed level 72 venomous python. Experience 4,320,000. Amidst the earth-shattering explosions, the monsters' bodies erupted in flames. Another series of system notifications appeared. Killed level 75 5-step venomous python. Experience 4,500,000. Killed level 72 venomous python. Experience 4,320,000. Killed level 75 5-step venomous python. Experience 4,500,000. Suddenly, a brilliant golden light flashed. A system notification announced, "Level up." Lin Moyu wondered curiously, how many monsters did I have to kill to level up? Name, Lin Moyu class, Acrolord unique level, 51. As he was contemplating, the ground suddenly trembled. Lin Moyu then witnessed a sight that astonished him. The strange phenomenon made him extremely curious. What's happening? The corpses, once piled as high as a mountain, began to sink rapidly into the ground. What is that? Is it some mechanism of this lower, level space? It was as if a giant whirlpool had appeared on the land, seeking to devour all the corpses. In an instant, the bodies on the ground vanished without a trace. With all the corpses gone, the land returned to its original state, leaving no evidence behind. A cold sweat broke out on the young man. This is terrifying. If I hadn't actually leveled up, I would have thought I was hallucinating. Lin Moyu knew that both the Origin battlefield and the Eternal battlefield had self-healing capabilities. This ability was the capacity to erase the chaos on the surface, restoring it to its original state. However, in the upper levels of the Eternal battlefield, the land's healing was relatively gentle, taking some time from a few days to more than 10 to absorb the corpses. But in this lower, level space, the healing speed was incredibly fast. Only half an hour had passed, and the land had already begun to heal. In no more than 2 minutes, the process was complete. Yet, for a land with such a healing ability to have a poison marsh, Lin Moyu grew curious. Why is this poison marsh able to remain, without being cleared away? Because of this, he felt that the poison marsh was even more unusual. He cautiously dipped his hand into the toxic water, and his immunity status activated. Lin Moyu murmured to himself, with this immunity, I can ignore the toxins in this poison marsh. He then strode towards the center of the marsh, completely unaffected by the poison thanks to his ability. The marsh had a steep, downward slope. Within just a few meters, the venomous liquid had already reached his chest. In the heart of the marsh, a thick, dark green venom ceaselessly surged upwards. After a moment of observation, Lin Moyu deduced that the deadly poison crystals he had encountered earlier had originated from this very spot. With newfound resolve, he made a bold decision, and dove deep into the poisonous waters. He discovered a large cavern from which all the venom in the marsh seemed to flow. Curious about what lay inside, Lin Moyu knew he had to enter to understand the source of this poisonous marsh. The cave was not very large, with a diameter of less than 2 meters, just enough for him to squeeze through. As he carefully examined his surroundings, he could not determine the cave's depth, but he noticed that the venom grew denser and more potent the further he descended. After a short while, he reached his destination. Upon entering the secret cave, Lin Moyu froze, a chill running down his spine at the sight before him. "That's a coffin," he uttered in disbelief. It seemed impossible. In the center of the space lay a human corpse with a fist-sized wound on its forehead, from which the venom flowed. As Lin Moyu stared at the body, a system notification appeared: God of Deadly Poison, state, at rest. The revelation struck him. This is the tomb of the God of Deadly Poison, he realized. No wonder the marsh produces the god's blood essence. He was laid to rest here. The unhealable wound on the god's body suggested he had been on the verge of death. Before Lin Moyu could process this, the God of Deadly Poison's eyes snapped open, filled with a murderous intent that instantly enveloped him. A cold dread washed over Lin Moyu as he wondered, is he still alive? Impossible, he reasoned. He must have been resting here for countless years. If he could have been revived, it would have happened long ago. My intrusion must have activated his lingering consciousness. With a surge of defiance, he shouted, "You damned old man, if you're dead, then stay in your coffin." He immediately activated Reinforced Soldier and unleashed his soul flame skill. A spark of the dancing soul fire in his hand shot towards the god's forehead. The wound was a fatal one, having pierced his body and scattered his soul. Attacked at this critical point, the God of Deadly Poison's corpse trembled violently. Lin Moyu noticed the god's divine power falling into disarray, seemingly caught off guard. "It's working," he thought, his eyes lighting up. He continued to cast soul flame, striking 5 times per second. He surmised that the god was not truly dead but was being sustained by a remnant of his soul. Whether human or deity, existence without a soul is impossible. The soul is the root of all life. Just as John Nihia had preserved his soul to be revived, so too must the God of Deadly Poison have a fragment of his soul remaining if he wished to be reborn, unlike the mindless zombies of the decaying world that lack both life and soul. To truly defeat him, Lin Moyu knew he had to completely obliterate the god's soul. Seeing the effectiveness of his soul flame, he activated his Reinforced Soldier skill again. His attributes immediately soared, dramatically increasing his skill damage and adding an extra 500 damage output. The soul flame's power intensified more than tenfold. As the flame blazed, dozens of fire sparks rained down, completely shattering the god's newly gathered divine power and preventing him from self-destructing. Breathing a sigh of relief, Lin Moyu continued his assault with soul flame. The remnant soul of the God of Deadly Poison could not withstand the attack and, with a silent scream that only a soul could hear, completely disintegrated. The god's body trembled one last time before falling completely still. The soul flame, having lost its target, extinguished. The God of Deadly Poison is dead, Lin Moyu confirmed. I was right. He was only clinging to a shred of his soul. At that moment, he received a series of startling notifications. You have slain the God of Deadly Poison. Your level has increased by 1. Your military exploit star has increased by 1. Your poison immunity has reached its limit. You have obtained a mid-rank God-head. You have obtained the divine title, God of Deadly Poison. Intermediate God-head. Absorbing a God-head can make one a deity, or by comprehending the power within it, one can become a God-level expert. The God of Extreme Poison's divine position, if merged with a God-head, can create a new God of Extreme Poison. Seeing the system notification, Lin Moyu was stunned. What is happening? A white light flashed around him, and his level increased from 51 to 52. The soldier's insignia glowed, revealing 2 twinkling stars. Lin Moyu checked his information. Name, Lin Moyu. Class, Necrolord. Unique level, 52. The young man closed his eyes. Within Lin Moyu's spiritual world, he thought of the poisonous dragon's marrow. Perhaps he could use it to increase his immunity to the poison element, eventually reaching 100 poison immunity. Following that were 2 gains that Lin Moyu could never have imagined. The system announced, Domain Godstone, Intermediate Godhead, Divine Position of the God of Extreme Poison. Lin Moyu curiously wondered, are those the Godhead and the Divine Position? He now understood that the God of Extreme Poison was an intermediate god. Its Godhead was of an intermediate rank. If he absorbed it, there was a high chance he would become an intermediate deity, equivalent to a level 93 to 95 god, level expert of the human race. This was a chance to ascend to the heavens in a single step, but it would also limit him. From then on, he would be stuck at this level, unless he could absorb a stronger godhead. Otherwise, he would forever remain an intermediate god, and becoming a super god would be out of his reach. At most, he could merge with the divine position of the God of Extreme Poison, and become the new one. But what was the point of that? Lin Moyu had faith in himself, he would not do something so short-sighted. His goal was to become a super god, not a mere deity, nor to hold any specific divine position. The Godhead and the divine position appeared simultaneously in his spiritual world. The Godhead was a 12-fatted polyhedral green crystal, slowly rotating, looking quite beautiful. The divine position resembled a throne, resting motionlessly beside the Godhead. What struck Lin Moyu as odd was that both items seemed to avoid the domain godstone, as if the godstone was of a higher tier than them. This could be considered a massive harvest for Lin Moyu. Unbeknownst to him, as the god of extreme poison fell, the outside world had completely changed. In the deeper dimensions of the eternal battlefield, torrents of power surged forth. Furious roars echoed one after another, shattering space as the sound traveled far and wide, ceaselessly. The winds and clouds in the eternal battlefield shifted erratically, sometimes with rumbling thunder, other times with heavy rain and strong winds. This abnormal situation had never occurred in the countless years of the eternal battlefield's existence. Not only on the eternal battlefield, but unimaginable things were also happening in the human world. Strange, heavy rain covered the entire world, accompanied by continuous lightning, exactly like on the origin battlefield. At this moment, all God-level experts could feel a breath of sorrow. In the small courtyard of the White God, shielded from the rain, Manhwa sighed and said, "A god has fallen. And an intermediate one at that. It seems the last recorded reign of divine fall was 500 years ago. At that time, a lesser god perished, and the rain fell for exactly 3 days and 3 nights. This time, I estimate it will rain for 6 days and 6 nights." The demon king in the abyss also sensed the event and wondered, "Another god has fallen. Who did it?" Antares was startled from a pleasant dream and roared in anger, "Shut up. It's so noisy." A terrifying power erupted from its body, directly shattering space and descending into the deeper dimensions. The rain finally reached the core area of the eternal battlefield, and the power from the deep dimensions was the last to arrive. The roars echoed endlessly in the core area. The streaks of light in the sky were dissipated by the roars. Countless boss monsters trembled amidst the furious, earth-shaking bellows. The angry sounds in the starry dimension suddenly stopped. The eternal battlefield abruptly returned to peace, even the rain of divine fall ceased. In that instant, the entire battlefield returned to its normal state. Antares muttered, "Why the divine fall? Which deity has fallen?" Even it did not know that Lin Moyu had killed an intermediate god on the wild continent. On the wild continent, Lin Moyu had already left the poison marsh, taking the corpse of the god of extreme poison with him. Gunye had once treated a severed finger of a god as a priceless treasure. Now, Lin Moyu possessed the entire body of a god. The young man mumbled, "If others find out I possess a complete divine corpse." Without its source, the poison marsh had become slightly clearer, its toxicity no longer as potent. Lin Moyu had collected all the deadly poison crystals from the marsh, in addition to the large quantity he found in the god of deadly poison's coffin. By now, the number of deadly poison crystals in his possession had surpassed 200, an astonishing fortune. Lin Moyu had once wondered where he would ever find a single deadly poison crystal to fuse into his elemental godstone. Now, he had obtained more than he could have imagined. First, he needed to fuse the whirlwind crystal he had obtained from the wind element dungeon, and the lightning crystal from the Dongfeng family's lightning element dungeon. Elemental godstone fire, poison, earth, light, water, increases the chance of a successful job advancement by 25 during the third class change. Elemental godstone fire, poison, earth, light, water, wind, lightning, increases the chance of a successful job advancement by 35 during the third class change. After fusing the crystals, he stored away all his spoils. Gazing at the marsh for a moment, Lin Moyu murmured, "It seems this poison marsh will soon cease to exist. The snake monsters here will likely never receive another opportunity from this place. I should go complete the ancient Earth Dragon's quest. This area is too dangerous, filled with bosses at every turn. It's best to leave quickly." With that thought, he unfurled his undead wings and soared into the sky. Lin Moyu flew for hundreds of kilometers, passing over countless ruins and rubble. He only stopped when the landscape below began to change. "It seems I've entered a new region," he noted, descending onto the grasslands below. The terrain was not flat but a series of rolling hills, with the slope of one small meadow leading up to the next, like frozen waves. As he walked, Lin Moyu felt a strange and growing sense of unease, a premonition of danger. Soon, he discovered he had once again trespassed into the territory of another boss. Before him was a giant octopus, perfectly camouflaged as a green meadow. A portion of the monster's body, along with its massive tentacles, slowly became visible. Lin Moyu's pupils constricted. Why would such a creature be on a grassland? What happened next shattered his imagination. A whirlpool formed in the center of a nearby lake, and the water within it vanished in an instant. The lake wasn't large, only about 30 meters in diameter, it could more accurately be called a pond. After the water was drained, a colossal monster crawled out. It was undoubtedly a massive the octopus, its body a dull gray with 8 enormous tentacles, each over 20 meters long. The creature swiftly moved onto the grassland, and as it did, the color of its skin began to shift. It blended seamlessly with the vibrant green meadow, eventually disappearing completely. This was not invisibility, it was a perfect camouflage that mimicked the color and texture of its surroundings. It was not only impossible to distinguish with the naked eye, but even Lin Moyu's spiritual perception struggled to separate it from the grassland itself. A chilling realization washed over him, and he stood frozen to the spot. Had he unknowingly touched the monster while walking here? Its camouflage was so perfect that it blended not only its color but also its aura with the environment. Lin Moyu sent a skeleton warrior to the now empty lake. A deep, circular pit, 30 meters in diameter and 5 meters deep, remained. The surface layer of grass was gone, revealing what lay beneath, a thick sheet of ice, over a meter deep and seemingly bottomless. A thick layer of ice under here, Lin Moyu analyzed. So that octopus was drinking water. It must have melted the ice and then drank the resulting water before leaving. The entire process had been utterly silent. A breeze blew past, and Lin Moyu felt the strangeness of the place. A vibrant, resilient grassland that could reflect damage was sitting atop a massive sheet of ice. Could this have once been a sea? As he pondered this, a loud explosion echoed from a short distance away, carrying with it a powerful shockwave. Who's fighting? Lin Moyu witnessed an astonishing sight. A group of people was battling the giant octopus. Their gear looked unfamiliar, and he quickly guessed they were not professionals from the Divine Xia Empire. The guild made short work of the colossal octopus. Its members quickly began to collect some kind of liquid from the creature's corpse. Just then, a roar echoed from above as numerous black dots appeared in the sky. A large group of over 100 people flew toward them. Based on their uniform attire, Lin Moyu recognized them as professionals from the Eagle Country, members of the Soaring Eagle Guild. Although there was no major conflict between the Eagle Country and the Divine Xia Empire, relations had been tense for years. When professionals from both sides met in the wild, they rarely exchanged greetings, and there were many recorded instances of clashes, some even resulting in casualties. For this reason, Lin Moyu did not approach them and chose to observe from a distance. The aura of the leading knight was incredibly dense. From this alone, Lin Moyu judged the man to be well over level 85, the highest ranking individual present. He was clad in magnificent equipment. His gaze swept over the dead octopus. Have you collected enough of the purifying water? Several knights responded, we have enough. Excellent, the leader declared. Distribute the purifying water. It will significantly weaken the effects of the poison. This time, our Soaring Eagle Guild will finally slay the deadly poison dragon and wash away our previous humiliation. Hearing this from his hiding spot, Lin Moyu was stunned into understanding. So they're preparing to hunt the deadly poison dragon. A smirk played on his lips. Unfortunately for you, you're a step too late. The deadly poison dragon has already been swallowed by the earth, its whereabouts unknown. He found their meticulous preparations amusing, knowing they were destined for disappointment. The lead knight offered a few more words of encouragement, then waved his hand forward. Onward to the deadly poison dragon's territory. Charge! The group of players shot off like lightning in the direction of the dragon's last known location. Lin Moyu watched them disappear from behind a small ridge. It seems this is a hub for human professionals, he thought. Perhaps it can find people from the Divine Xia Empire here. After about an hour of circling and observing the area, he spotted another group in the distance. They were members of the Jalen Guild. Suddenly, Jalen Liam revealed a look of astonishment. Little brother, how are you only level 52? Previously, seeing Lin Moyu's youth, Jalen Lion hadn't paid much attention. But upon discovering Lin Moyu's level, it was like discovering a new continent. He had never heard of anyone at level 52 reaching the lower space of the eternal battlefield. In the past, only those above level 70 could come to the upper space. No one below level 70 had ever made it here. Inadvertently, Lin Moyu had created a historical miracle. Jalen Lion's words also caught the attention of the others, and one by one, they looked at Lin Moyu with expressions of utter surprise. Jalen Lion asked, little brother, what's your name? How did you get here? Lin Moyu didn't hide anything, explaining that he had arrived due to some unforeseen accidents. Hearing the name Lin Moyu, everyone was surprised. Lin Moyu knew that these people had likely not left the eternal battlefield for a long time. Indeed, some people would cultivate in the eternal battlefield, staying for several years at a time. During these years, news would be relatively scarce, and they might even lose contact with the outside world. It was normal for them not to know who he was. Lin Moyu wasn't wearing his military insignia on his shoulder, so others didn't know his status as a 2-star divine general. Communicating this way was actually a bit more relaxed. Galen Liam said, it's a good thing you arrived in this Qinghai prairie, little brother. It would have been dangerous anywhere else. He felt that at level 52, Lin Moyu could have been instantly killed by any monster in any other location. John Lion continued, how about this, little brother, you stick with us. When we finish our business here, we can take you back on our way. Our GLN guild has a base here with a teleportation array to leave. Jalen Liam was very generous, immediately inviting Lin Moyu to join their team. Lin Moyu didn't refuse. He happened to want to inquire about the situation in the lower space. He knew nothing about this deeper level, not even the directions. Even if he wanted to go to the Thunder Burial Valley, he would be fumbling in the dark. However, Jalen Liam's generosity made him feel a sense of goodwill. He felt that Jalen Liam was a bit like Shi Xiangyan, and incomparably better than the dynasty guild he had encountered before. After Lin Moyu joined, the group set off again. Everyone flew through the air. The Qinghai Prairie had no aerial dangers, so they could fly freely. Walking on the prairie, on the other hand, could lead to certain dangers. Lin Moyu used his flight skill to follow alongside Jalen Liam. Regarding Lin Moyu having a flight skill, Jalen Liam only offered a casual compliment, not too surprised. What could be more surprising than Lin Moyu being here in the first place? Lin Moyu asked, Senior Liam, what exactly is the situation in the lower space? Liam laughed heartily, don't call me senior, it sounds awkward. Just call me big brother. We're all brothers here, I've just lived a few more years than you. Lin Moyu didn't stand on ceremony. Big brother Liam, can you tell me about the situation in the lower space? Jalen Liam was very forthcoming, of course, no problem. I can tell you anything you want to know. Lin Moyu said, everything about the lower space. Jalen Liam thought for a moment, alright, let's start with the area we're in. This area is the Qinghai Prairie. It's said that countless years ago, this place was a sea. You must have seen the monsters here, right? Lin Moyu nodded. Just a while ago, a guild called Flying Eagle had killed some octopus monsters to get pure water, and had now gone to the poisonous serpent land. Jalen Liam laughed heartily, they're just looking for trouble again. They went there not long ago, and were beaten back, even lost some people. The venomous flood dragon is a level 85 world-class boss, it's not that easy to deal with. But that's their business, we can't interfere. Anyway, let's not talk about them. I'll continue. This place is called the Qinghai Prairie. To the west is the poisonous serpent land, and beyond that is the giant leaf forest. Each area has a world-class boss, those are their territories. The continent we are on is called the Wilderness Continent. Jalen Liam had a frank personality, and was a patient speaker. Under his explanation, Lin Moyu began to gradually understand some information about the lower space. The lower space was indeed very different from the upper space. The upper space was a single continent divided into 3 zones, the periphery, the center, and the core. But the lower space was divided into 4 continents. It was said that a very long time ago, these 4 continents were a single entity, but a great war involving super powerful experts shattered the lower space into 4. Each continent was separated by a sea, and at the center of the 4 continents was the battlefield of that ancient war, now known as the Devouring Void. Traveling from one continent to another was not easy. The continent they were currently on was the Wilderness Continent, located in the south of the lower space. The Jalen Guild was the strongest human guild, possessing formidable strength. They had bases on both the southern Wilderness Continent and the eastern Divine Dragon Continent, and had even set up teleportation arrays allowing travel between them. Lin Moyu also inquired about the Thunder Burial Valley. The Thunder Burial Valley was located in the center of the Northern Wind and Lightning Continent. There were 2 ways to get there. One was to go through the eastern Divine Dragon Continent, then cross the Wind and Lightning Sea to enter the Wind and Lightning Continent. The other was to enter the Wind and Lightning Continent from the far side of the western Falling Star Continent. However, to reach the Falling Star Continent, one would have to cross the entire Wilderness Continent, which was no easy feat. Lin Moyu understood. On the Wilderness Continent, the Qinghai Prairie was the southernmost point, and also the closest to the Divine Dragon Continent. To cross the entire Wilderness Continent, one would have to pass through not only the territory of the venomous flood dragon but also the territory of the giant leaf mother tree, followed by several even more dangerous areas. Lin Moyu decided to give up on that route. For now, it seemed better to return to the Divine Dragon Continent first, and then travel from there to the Northern Wind and Lightning Continent. But to get to the Divine Dragon Continent, one had to either cross the sea between the 2 continents personally or use a corresponding teleportation array. The sea was filled not only with powerful sea-race monsters but also many flying monsters, making the journey difficult. Lin Moyu decided to save his energy and brazenly borrow the Jalen Guild's teleportation array. After all, he had saved Jalen Yu, so borrowing their array didn't seem like too much to ask. Big brother Lion, are you and Jalen Yu from the same clan? Lin Moyu asked. Jalen Lion was a bit surprised. Brother Lin, you know Yu. Lin Moyu said, I met her in the upper space. We had a chance encounter. Jalen Lion laughed, so that's how it is. In that case, we are truly fated. Jalen Yu is my younger sister. Is that girl doing well now? Lin Moyu thought for a moment. The last time I saw her was over half a month ago. She was in the core area. Jalen Liam shook his head and said, that girl leads her so-called night squad around just to have fun, but thankfully her strength is decent, so she shouldn't be in any danger. This big brother is not only generous but also very magnanimous. Lin Moyu thought. Not in any danger. She nearly died, and more than once. Jalen Liam sighed, it's been over 2 years since I last saw that girl. When I go back this time, I should also take a break for a while. Or, if it can find a space-time passage, I could go back to the upper space for a trip to see her. Lin Moyu wore a faint smile. In his view, the personalities of the two siblings were quite similar, both lively and enthusiastic. Jalen Liang suddenly asked, "Brother Lin, why are you asking about the Thunder Burial Valley?" Lin Moyu answered honestly, "I need to make a trip there." Jalen Liang was surprised. That place isn't easy to get to. There's no teleportation array between the Divine Dragon Continent and the Wind and Lightning Continent. Even I'm not 100% confident I could get you across the Wind and Lightning Sea. When we get back to the Divine Dragon Continent, I'll think of a way to find a team that can take you there. He didn't even ask Lin Moyu why he was going to the Thunder Burial Valley, but instead started helping him think of a way to get there. Lin Moyu couldn't help but have a good impression of this rough-looking man. Lin Moyu said softly, "Thank you, big brother Liang. My matter isn't urgent, we can take our time." At this moment, the team stopped. Jalen Liang said, "Brother Lin, you should step back for now." Lin Moyu saw the target of Jalen Liang and the others, a giant monster with a lantern on its head. On the Qinghai Prairie, almost all monsters had the ability to camouflage themselves, making them extremely difficult to spot with the naked eye. However, the monster before them was an exception. Lin Moyu had seen it from a distance. A bright lantern hung from its head. Its entire body was camouflaged to hide, but this lantern couldn't be changed, always emitting a faint yellow light. Jalen Liang said, "Brother Lin, move back a bit further. The fight later might injure you. This thing's area of effect skills are quite strong." Lin Moyu said nothing and directly retreated several hundred meters. Jalen Liang's team consisted of 2 healers, 2 supports, and the remaining 5 were all mages. This team composition was slightly different from the norm. It was clearly arranged to deal with the lantern-bearing monster before them. The supports quickly applied buffs to the team. The healers were also ready. "Begin. Everyone be careful," Jalen Liang shouted softly and launched his attack. He seemed to have pinpointed the monster's location, descending like a meteor from the sky and crashing down violently. Lin Moyu was slightly surprised. Jalen Liang was a level 82 Holy Word Knight, his combat power was self-evident. Under such a full-force impact, the power would spill outwards. The terrifying shockwave would likely trigger the counter-attack of the sword grass. From Jalen Liang's earlier introduction, he knew the grass on the Qinghai Prairie was called sword grass. It looked like grass but could fly up like swords. As for why the Qinghai Prairie had this damage reflection property, Jalen Liang wasn't sure either. Boom! With a loud bang, Jalen Liang heavily struck the monster. His strike was precise, the shield in his hand shimmering brightly. The force of the skill was almost focused on a very small point to explode, so much so that not even a shockwave spread out. The surrounding sword grass remained completely still. Lin Moyu watched, inwardly amazed at Jalen Liang's control over his skills. After level 80, most essential skills had been learned. What remained was to see who could control their skills better. Clearly, Jalen Liang had done an excellent job with his impact. The monster let out a tragic cry, the lantern on its head becoming extremely bright, like a small sun shining brilliantly. The monster's form was also revealed, over 20 meters long, with a body diameter of more than 5 meters, slightly plump. Several pairs of tentacles grew under its body like claws, and it had a fish-like tail full of barbs. On its head, it wore a lantern. It looked like neither a snake nor a fish. Very strange. Under attack, the monster immediately began to counter-attack. The lantern on its head instantly shone to its brightest. At this moment, the 2 supports acted simultaneously, casting 2 control skills. A binding skill and a sleep skill descended, and the monster's lantern dimmed for an instant before immediately lighting up again. The skill disable had failed. "It's immune," the 2 supports shouted. They couldn't interrupt the monster's skill. Jalen Liang called out loudly, "Mages, shields up, healers, prepare. Brother Lin, fall back." As he spoke, he swung his shield forward. Shield bash. The skill had a certain stun effect, but it was still ineffective. The mages had already raised their magic shields, and the healers and supports hid behind them, their healing skills at the ready. Lin Moyu cast a layer of bone armor on himself and retreated another 100 meters, simultaneously casting a detection spell. He was a bit curious about this monster. Lantern Firefish Lore Tier Boss Level, 83 Strength, 1 million Agility, 500,000 Spirit, 1 million Physique, 1,200,000 Skills, Radiant Fire Burst, Radiant Fire Meteor, Fiery Radiance. Traits: 70 Fire Element Damage Reduction, 70 Water Element Damage Reduction, Enhanced Resistance to Abnormal Statuses, Enhanced Vitality. Its attributes were decent. Compared to the giant leaf mother tree and the venomous flood dragon he had encountered before, it was not on the same level. Looking at its 3 skills and its traits, Lin Moyu felt it was a bit difficult to deal with. Of course, this difficulty was only for Jalen Liang and the others. Immunity to 2 elements was one thing, but the key was its resistance to abnormal statuses, which greatly reduced the effectiveness of the support's control skills. The lantern on the lantern firefish's head shone to its extreme, and then violently erupted. Skill, radiant fire burst. In an instant, thousands of light beams shot out from the lantern, filled with fire elemental energy. Jalen shouted, raising his shield high to block nearly a third of the attacks. He was sent flying backward by the impact, and the healers quickly healed him. The fire element beams hit the mage's magic shields, causing them to deform violently. Raging flames quickly ignited on the shields. One of the light beams also fell on Lin Moyu. His bone armor flashed with pure white light, blocking the attack. Lin Moyu noticed that this skill not only carried the fire element but also had a powerful impact force. Furthermore, its attacks landing on the Qinghai prairie did not trigger the sword grass's counter-attack. It seemed the damage reflection property of the prairie was selective. The lantern firefish was a native monster, so it didn't trigger the backlash. Skill after skill rained down, giving Jalen no time to counter-attack. The supports continued to use other control skills. After several continuous skills, the lantern firefish finally paused. The control had taken effect, and its skill was interrupted. Attack! Jalen seized the opportunity, roared, and began a frenzied assault. The 5 mages also cast their skills simultaneously, launching an attack. The skills they used were all wind elemental. The lantern firefish had dual immunity to fire and water elements, with a resistance of up to 70, so using fire and water skills was naturally out of the question. One after another, wind elemental skills rained down on the lantern firefish. Just 2 seconds later, the control effect ended. The lantern firefish let out a tragic cry and began to counter-attack again. The lantern on its head lit up once more. Its skills were basically all focused on that lantern. This time, the lantern was brighter than before, and began to burn with raging flames. The lantern turned into a fireball, instantly detaching from the lantern firefish and flying straight into the sky. It burned fiercely in the sky, then shot out numerous columns of light, like arrows streaking towards the ground, covering a radius of several hundred meters. Skill, radiant fire meteor. Like light, like fire, like a shooting star. This attack skill was straightforward, fast, powerful, and precise. Jalen immediately flew back to the team, setting up a group defense, and didn't forget to shout to Lin Moyu, "Brother Lin, get back even further." Lin Moyu continued to retreat. He was now more than 800 meters away, completely outside the attack range of the lantern firefish. The radiant fire meteors struck the shield erected by Jalen, turning the entire shield into a fireball. The shields were very stable, showing no signs of breaking. The 2 supports were still casting control skills, hoping to interrupt the lantern firefish's skill. Lin Moyu originally wanted to help them, but on second thought, he held back. It was better to observe first. It seemed Jalen was fully confident in dealing with it. Finally, the lantern firefish was hit by a control skill again. Its skill was interrupted, and the lantern that was in mid-air shot back. At this moment, Jalen charged forward, the knight's sword in his hand exploding with brilliant light. He shouted softly, "Guaranteed hit, victory strike." As a holy word knight, his words were like holy edicts, becoming reality as they were spoken. This ability couldn't be used at will. Each use consumed a great deal of spiritual energy and was not to be used lightly. But when used well, the effects were extremely good. Just like now, the lantern firefish's lantern was rapidly returning, and at Jalen's normal speed, he couldn't have caught up. But he used his holy word, and his entire body instantly turned into a streak of light, not only catching up but also striking it with precision. The moment the lantern was struck, the lantern firefish immediately let out a tragic cry. It instantly broke free from the control skill, its entire body erupting in flames. Skill, fiery radiance. The blazing flames spread in all directions, enveloping Jalen within them. Jalen ignored the flames, shouting, "Maximum defense." His whole body glowed as he continued to attack the lantern. The lantern was the weak point of the lantern firefish. When it left its body, attacking the lantern could inflict double damage on the monster. The lantern firefish was clearly anxious. It charged towards Jalen, its massive body lunging forward, trying to stop him and retrieve its lantern. At this moment, several powerful wind blades flew over, accurately hitting the lantern. The mages coordinated with Jalen, determined not to let the lantern return. The tempo of the battle had been seized by Jalen. He used his holy word skill repeatedly, tightly locking onto the lantern. Lin Moyu knew that Jalen would surely win this battle. Defeating the lantern firefish was just a matter of time. As time passed, the lantern firefish still couldn't retrieve its lantern. It was severely wounded, and its aura gradually weakened. Victory was within reach when suddenly an arrow shot from the side. "Be careful," Lin Moyu shouted. Jalen also reacted, but it was too late. The arrow accurately struck Jalen's shoulder and exploded with a boom. The arrow appeared very suddenly, without any warning. Even Lin Moyu only sensed it the moment it appeared. Jalen Liam's reaction was half a beat slower than Lin Moyu's. He only had time to lean slightly. The arrow hit his shoulder but was blocked by his armor. Then the arrow exploded, and the massive impact force sent Jalen Liam flying back more than 10 meters. The lantern firefish seized this opportunity to retrieve its lantern, then let out a strange cry and fled into the distance. Jalen Liam angrily wanted to give chase, but several more arrows appeared from the void to block his path. It all happened too suddenly. By the time the others in Jalen Liam's team reacted, the lantern firefish was already far away. "You people from the Black Dragon Guild are looking to die," Jalen Liam roared. He didn't even need to guess who was launching the sneak attack. Not only was he furious, but the others in his team were equally enraged. A support mage raised his staff, and a brilliant light erupted from it, forming an orb that burst in the air. The light orb had no offensive power, but wherever its glow touched, nothing could remain hidden. Even the camouflaged monsters on the ground were forced to reveal their forms. In the sky, a creature that was half man, half horse appeared. It resembled a monster but was not one. Lin Moyu recognized it at a glance as a Shikigami belonging to an Onmyoji, special legendary class from the Yinghua country. The centaur, like Shikigami, held a bow, and seated on its back was a man dressed in the distinctive attire of the Yinghua country, a sinister smile playing on his lips. "Sk, what a pity. I was just about to get the firefish lantern. Now that it's gone, it'll take a long time to find it again." Jalen Liam pointed his sword at him. "Abozino, are you looking to die?" Abozino sneered. "It's not yet certain who will die." As he spoke, the centaur he rode fired an arrow into the sky. It exploded with a piercing sound and a brilliant flash of light that lingered in the air. Lin Moyu recognized it as a signal flare, similar to the ones used by the Divine Xia Empire. In an instant, a group of professionals flew over at high speed. A total of 20 professionals from the Yinghua country surrounded Jalen Liam's party. Lin Moyu moved to stand with them. Jalen Liam's voice was cold. "Black Dragon Society, do you wish to declare war on our Jalen Guild?" Abozino's sinister smile widened. No, we don't want war. We just want to kill you." Jalen Liam scoffed, "With just you small fry. How much did you have to drink to have such a dream?" Abozino shook his head. "On our own, it would naturally be impossible. But what if we add them?" He then produced a black stone, and Jalen Liam's expression changed drastically. "An abyss demon stone. The Black Dragon Society is colluding with the demons of the abyss. Don't make it sound so unpleasant," Abozino said, still shaking his head. "We are merely in a cooperative relationship." He activated the black stone, and a dark spatial passage opened beside him, emitting a gloomy wind and green abyssal flames. A powerful demon with the aura of a being over level 80 emerged. It was a familiar face. The one who stepped out of the portal was none other than the succubus, Mina, the very same one he had encountered in the core region. After emerging, Mina activated another abyss demon stone, and a massive barrier descended from the sky, trapping everyone within. Jalen Liam's face turned grim as he felt the threatening presence emanating from her. This succubus was incredibly powerful. "Abozino," Jalen Liam said coldly, "you should know that if even one of us makes it back, your Black Dragon Society is finished." Abozino merely chuckled in response. Mina flapped her delicate wings and flew closer, a charming smile on her face. "Little brother Liam, I would hate to have to kill you. This time, I want to cooperate with you." A potent seductive power radiated from her, filling the entire barrier. Aside from Jalen Liam and Lin Moyu, everyone else's eyes glazed over as they stared at Mina with dazed, infatuated expressions. Even Abozino was similarly affected, lost in her spell. "Wake up," Jalen Liam roared, slamming his knightly sword against his shield with a deafening clink. The sound jolted everyone back to their senses. A wave of fear washed over them as they realized how terrifying this succubus was. They had fallen under her spell without even knowing it. Mina jiggled. "Not bad, little brother Liang. Your mind is quite resolute. A pity the same can't be said for your companions." Amidst her laughter, those who had just awoken fell back into a trance, this time under an even stronger wave of her seductive power. Lin Moyu finally understood why so many high-level professionals among humanity were willing to serve the abyss demons. If a top-tier succubus possessed such potent charm, how many could possibly resist if the succubus queen herself took action, aside from god-level experts? Within the barrier, only Jalen Liam and Lin Moyu remained conscious. Lin Moyu's powerful spirit and immunity to all status effects rendered the succubus power useless against him. Jalen Liam, however, felt her power crashing against his mind like relentless waves, threatening to shatter his mental defenses, seize his soul, and turn him into her puppet. He could do nothing but devote all his strength to defending himself, unable to even speak. Most of Maya's power was focused on Jalen Liam. The others were merely an afterthought. Suddenly, a gentle breeze from a probing spell brushed past her. Lin Moyu received her information. Mina, peak succubus, level 83. A level 83 succubus, he thought. No wonder she could force the ancient Luan bird into a life or death nirvana back in the core region. And at that time, Mina had been holding back, afraid to unleash her full power. Otherwise, the ancient Luan bird would have surely been killed. Sensing the probe, Mina turned her head, and in that instant, she froze. The seductive smile on her beautiful face stiffened, and her eyes widened in utter shock. Why are you here? Lin Moyu greeted her calmly. Long time no see. A long time no see. Mina stammered. As a confidant of the succubus queen, she was privy to more information than other demons. The Lin Moyu standing before her now was not the same one she had encountered in the central region. This Lin Moyu was a terrifying existence who had slain the Flame Demon King. To deal with him, a demon king would have to intervene personally. Her first instinct was to flee for her life. As Mina stood there stunned, the pressure on Jalen Liam vanished, and he gasped in relief. Brother Lin, you know her? He asked, astonished. Lin Moyu nodded. We met in the upper, level core region. She tried to hunt me down, but failed. Jalen Liam couldn't fathom what kind of grudge would lead a peak demon to hunt a human professional in the upper levels. But the key words were but failed. Lin Moyu slowly flew forward. Why don't you try again, and see if you can kill me this time? Mina shook her head frantically. No, please don't bully a small succubus like me. How could my tiny frame be enough for you to even hit? Her attitude had become utterly subservient. She wasn't a fool. How could she possibly fight someone who had killed the Flame Demon King? How will you know if you don't try? Lin Moyu said softly. Mina shook her head again, forcing a smile. No, you're a busy man. I'll be on my way. With the fastest motion she had ever made, she pulled out an Abyss Demon Stone and immediately activated it, even spitting a mouthful of blood on it to speed up the process. A swirling vortex appeared and sucked her in instantly. Just as it closed, a spark of fire flashed in Lin Moyu's palm. A blood-curdling scream echoed from within the disappearing vortex. She runs fast, Lin Moyu commented coldly. Jalen Lam was completely dumbfounded. What was going on? The barrier was created by Mina, and only she could use corresponding teleportation items within it. Most others' teleportation tools would be useless. However, Lin Moyu's abyssal teleportation stone was still effective. Mina was not powerful enough to seal it, only God-level experts like Demon Kings or extreme distances could render it ineffective. With Mina gone, everyone else in the barrier began to stir. What happened? Where is Lady Succubus? Abozino was utterly bewildered. All he knew was that the succubus was gone when he woke up. Brother Lian, Lin Moyu asked, what should we do with these people? Kill them all. If it were up to him, he would have already acted. But with Jalen Liam present, he felt it was proper to ask. Jalen Liam replied, he is the son of the Black Dragon Society's guild. Master and has a soul imprint. He'll be revived even if killed. The Jalen Guild doesn't want to start an all-out war with the Black Dragon Society just yet. They are the strongest guild in the Yinghua country, and a conflict would be detrimental to humanity as a whole. As the young master of the Jalen Guild, he naturally had to consider the bigger picture. I can make it so he can't be revived, Lin Moyu stated. Preventing resurrection was simple, just erase the soul. Without a soul to return to, the soul imprint would be useless. He hadn't understood this before, but with his soul flame skill, it was now possible. Zhao Lion considered for a second. In that case, kill him. If the threat could be permanently eliminated, he had no objections. People died in the lower dimensions every day. One more Abozino would go unnoticed. Just as Jialan Lian was about to act, Lin Moyu stopped him. Let me. He slowly flew out from the group and stood before Abozino. Abozino, still groggy, hadn't overheard their conversation. He wondered what a level 52 kid was doing here. If his mind were clearer, he would have realized that a level 52 appearing in the lower dimension was highly unusual in itself. Lin Moyu didn't waste a single word on him. For anyone who colluded with abyss demons, his policy was to kill on sight. He pointed a finger at Abozino, and a red light flashed. Curse of Withering. The curse was contained by the barrier, affecting everyone from the Black Dragon Society within its range. The sudden affliction snapped them fully awake. As high-level professionals above level 70, they had immense combat experience. The moment the curse hit, their healers instinctively used their skills to try and dispel it. A few monsters on the grassland that were also hit by the curse screeched and charged toward Lin Moyu. Brother Lin, watch out, Jelen Liam cried out but stopped mid-sentence. Lin Moyu unleashed a second skill, Bone Prison. Instantly, thick white bones erupted around everyone, including Abozino, trapping them. The bone prison not only restrained but also paralyzed. While the paralysis was ineffective against world-class bosses, it worked wonders on these professionals. Every member of the Black Dragon Society, along with the charging monsters, was frozen mid-air, immobilized. Even the Shakigami centaur beneath Abozio became a motionless, bony statue. A mass restraint bone prison wouldn't last long, less than 10 seconds, given the level difference. But 10 seconds was more than enough. A dense legion of skeleton warriors materialized in the air, nearly filling the entire barrier. Lin Moyu's palm grew hot as he activated Reinforced Soldier. If he was going to do this, he would be thorough, and leave no trace. Not only Abozino's soul but everyone else's had to be erased. He couldn't be sure if the others also had soul imprints. It was better to be safe. Before Abozino's horrified eyes, a berserk skeleton warrior swung its axe. Rit. Light flared as it unleashed a skill. Abozino let out a guttural roar, his aura exploding as he tried to break free. Boom. The axe, empowered by the skill, slammed into him. Abozino's body exploded into pieces. He's not dead. Lin Moyu was slightly surprised. His soul flame was already locked onto Abozino's soul, ready to obliterate it the moment it was unprotected. But Abozino hadn't died. A substitution technique. A neat skill. The soul flame flickered, and a scream of agony came from behind him. A blade-wielding Shikigami had appeared behind Lin Moyu, its weapon descending with a sharp clink. Crouched on its shoulder was Abozino, his face twisted in pain, his body trembling. The sensation of the soul flame was excruciating, especially one amplified more than tenfold by Reinforced Soldier. He could barely manage to command his Shikigami to attack. The Shikigami's strike was swift, giving Lin Moyu no chance to dodge. The blade slammed down on his head, but his bone armor flared and completely blocked the attack. Too weak, Lin Moyu thought, surprise. This is a high-level professional. Why is he so weak? He couldn't even break through the bone armor. For a legendary class professional, he was far weaker than a world-class boss like the deadly poison dragon. Even the ancient Luon bird seemed stronger. The truth wasn't that the Amyuji was weak, but that Lin Moyu was simply too strong. He was used to fighting world-class bosses. A professional of a similar level was nothing to him. Losing interest, Lin Moyu flickered his soul flame again. The skeleton mages and marksmen all focused their fire on Abozino. Explosions rang out, and Abozino screamed again. He wasn't a boss, he didn't have immense vitality. One focused volley in the reinforced state was enough to severely injure him. Coupled with a second hit from the soul flame, he was on the brink of death. He completely ignored the Shikigami's attacks. The berserk skeleton warrior teleported in front of Abozino and swung its axe again. Sensing his impending doom, Abozino crushed a scroll, and a shield materialized around him, blocking the skeleton's attack. He simultaneously chugged a potion, and his wounds began to rapidly heal. A professional over level 80 was not so easy to kill. But for Lin Moyu, it was just a matter of a little more effort. How could it be harder than a world-class boss? This all happened within 2 seconds, during which Abozino had faced death twice. His face was now a mask of terror. He was genuinely scared. He didn't know Lin Moyu's identity, but how could such a person be only level 52? In his eyes, Lin Moyu had to be a disguised god-level expert. At that moment, screams filled the air. Abozino looked around and saw that all the members of the Black Dragon Society had had their limbs severed by the skeleton warriors, and were falling from the sky. They weren't killed, just dismembered to prevent escape. They would be dealt with one by one. Abozino's soul trembled in fear. This man's skeletons were terrifying. Each one was no weaker than him, and there were so many. How could he possibly fight this? It was an impossible battle. Lin Moyu gave him no time to breathe. The skeleton mages and marksmen focused their fire again. Abozino's shield shattered. Without thinking, he crushed another scroll, creating a new shield. It's useless. An elemental roar exploded against the shield. Wait, we can talk about this. Stop, stop, Abozino screamed, but Lin Moyu gave him no chance to negotiate. The shield broke again, and streams of soul flame flew into his mind, beginning the process of erasing his soul. Agonizing screams echoed continuously before finally falling silent after a few agonizing moments. This was not the first time Lin Moyu had killed with soul flame, but it was the first time he had used it to torture someone's soul. It was a completely different concept from simply killing. The process was akin to a death by 1,000 cuts. Being his first time, Lin Moyu was extra careful, afraid to leave even a shred of a remnant soul. In other words, Abozino was receiving the soul flaying treatment. The screams were made even more horrific because Lin Moyu was using his Reinforced Soldier skill, which was like rubbing salt into the wounds. Gaon Lion and his group watched in fear. This quiet, seemingly harmless level 52 youth was capable of such methods. Despite his fear, Jalen Lion couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. When dealing with enemies, especially those who colluded with abyss demons, a grave crime of betraying humanity, a method was too cruel. Abozino's screams lasted for a full 10 minutes before finally ceasing. He was dead, his body twisted and deformed in agony, covered in blood that had seeped from within. It was a gruesome death. Lin Moyu turned his attention to the others. With their limbs gone, they couldn't escape. Having gained experience, the subsequent executions went much more smoothly. He showed no mercy, treating them like test subjects. The horrifying screams once again echoed within the barrier. Lin Moyu was true to his word. Every soul was tortured to death, ensuring their soul imprints would be useless. After it was over, the skeletons shattered the barrier. Lin Moyu clapped his hands together. Brother Liam, shall we continue searching for the firefish lantern? Jalen Liam subconsciously nodded but didn't move. Brother Liam, why aren't you moving? Lin Moyu asked. Jalen Liam shook his head. It's too difficult to find. The firefish lantern doesn't always appear on the Qinghai grassland. It usually hides beneath the ice layer, and the nature of the grassland prevents us from searching there. We waited 3 months for this opportunity, only for it to be ruined by the Black Dragon Society. So that was it. No wonder Jalen Lion had been so furious. But with the Bozino's group dead, there was no point dwelling on it. Seeing the grim look on Jalen Liam's face, Lin Moyu asked, why do you need the firefish lantern? One of my guild members was injured and afflicted with a strange poison, he explained. We need the lantern from its head as an antidote. You see, Lin Moyu thought for a moment. If it's poison, perhaps I have a way. A look of hopeful surprise appeared on Jalen Liam's face. Brother Lin, are you serious? Lin Moyu nodded. As long as it isn't some extremely potent poison, it shouldn't be a problem. The kind of poison he was referring to was the corpse poison from the corpse world. Then let's go back now, Jalen Liam said urgently, leading the way back to their encampment. His team members followed quickly, their gazes toward Lin Moyu filled with a mixture of awe and fear. Anyone who could so easily dispatch a Bozino's group could just as easily kill them. People naturally respected the strong. On the way, Jalen Liam couldn't help but ask, Brother Lin, are you really level 52? Am, Lin Moyu. Confirmed. Then why are you? Lin Moyu knew what he wanted to ask. If you want to know my story, Brother Liam, you can easily find out when you return to the human world. I'm quite famous there. Quite famous was an understatement. For the past year, he had been the most talked about person, alongside the recently class-changed Grand Knight. Jalen Liam would surely hear about him upon his return. Jalen Liam didn't press further. He was smart enough to know what to ask, and what not to. Soon, they arrived at the Jalen Guild's encampment, a fortress with a radius of 100 meters, capable of housing thousands. It was situated on the edge of the Qinghai grassland, the safest location since the monsters there didn't attack unprovoked. As they entered, many guild members greeted Jalen Liam, their eyes filled with curiosity about the stranger, Lin Moyu. A level 52 in the lower dimension was certainly hot news. Jalen Liam led him to a small courtyard at the back of the fortress. It was a tranquil space with flowers, a faint smell of medicine, and the aroma of tea, creating an elegant atmosphere. Lin Moyu's first impression was that the resident of this courtyard must be a refined person. Hearing the door open, a young woman in a pale yellow dress emerged from a small room. A smile graced her lips when she saw Jalen Liam. Leon, you're back. She wasn't stunningly beautiful, but she had a graceful, refined temperament that perfectly matched the courtyard. Lin Moyu noticed her pale complexion, a sign of injury. A gentle smile appeared on Jalen Liam's resolute face. Donger, let me introduce you. This is Brother Lin Moyu. He then turned to Lin Moyu. Brother Lin, this is my beloved, Han Donger. Han Donger smiled at Lin Moyu. Hello, Brother Lin. Hello, sister-in-law, Lin Moyu replied. Han Donger had an elegant and gentle demeanor, somewhat reminiscent of Ningai. The insignia on her sleeve identified her as a pharmacist. Brother Lion, Lin Moyu asked, why not take your sister-in-law back to the human world? We have a god-level pharmacist in the divine Xia Empire who could surely cure her. Jalen Liam gave a bitter smile. Lord Pharmacist God could certainly cure Donger, but our Jalen Guild cannot afford to hire him. After Donger was injured and poisoned, all her attributes were suppressed to the point where she is weaker than an ordinary person. She cannot withstand the energy shock from a world-crossing teleportation. Her attributes were so low that she was trapped there. The Jalen Guild also lacked the influence to summon the Pharmacist God, who would have to travel to the deep dimensions first, and then find a spatial passage back, an incredibly complex process. That was why they had resorted to seeking the firefish lantern. Where was she poisoned? Lin Moyu asked. In the ice layer beneath the Qinghai grassland, Jalen Liam explained. We found a crack in the ice and went down to explore out of curiosity. We encountered a monster inside that carried a frost poison. Lin Moyu said no more and took out a jade bottle containing a single, crystal-like drop of liquid, the spinal marrow of the deadly poison dragon. Spinal marrow of the deadly poison dragon grade, legendary effect, a powerful antidote that can neutralize deadly poisons. Each drop increases the user's poison element immunity by 1. He handed the bottle to Han Donger. Try this. Han Donger's eyes widened. She could sense the extraordinary nature of the liquid. Upon opening the bottle, a fragrant aroma filled her senses, revitalizing her spirit. How magical, she exclaimed, a look of surprise on her face. A faint light glowed on her fingertip as she used her only available skill, probe. After reading the information, she covered her mouth in shock. Brother Lin. You killed the deadly poison dragon. You killed the deadly poison dragon, Brother Lin. Jalen Liam echoed indisbelief. I did. Lin Moyu confirmed. The atmosphere instantly froze. Jalen Liang stared at Lin Moyu as if he were a monster. After a few seconds, he burst into loud laughter. How interesting. Doesn't that mean the Soaring Eagle Guild went on a fool's errand? Lin Moyu smiled. Sister-in-law, please try it. Undongher immediately consumed the dragon's marrow. A brilliant light enveloped her, and her aura began to rapidly intensify, growing stronger and stronger. Jalen Liang's face lit up with joy. He knew the poison was being purged. The marrow was incredibly effective. I wonder if it would work on corpse poison. Lin Moyu thought, recalling the god-level expert who had saved him in the corpse world. He owed a debt of gratitude and would seize any chance to save them, no matter how slim. Brother Liang, Lin Moyu asked, can you tell me about the situation under the King High Grassland's ice? Of course, Jelen Liang replied, now treating Lin Moyu with the reverence one would a god. Having spent years in the lower dimension, he knew much more than Lin Moyu. He explained that 1 meter below the King High Grassland lay a layer of permafrost. Due to the grassland's unique property of absorbing and reflecting all attacks, it was impossible to see the ice. The 1 meter thick grassland effectively protected it. The monsters living on the grassland were immune to this reflection mechanism. To see the ice, one had to either wait for a monster to melt a hole to drink, or hope to find a natural crack. The ice itself was not as resilient as the grassland. A professional above level 80 could break it. Lin Moyu calculated that he could probably do it himself, but only with reinforced soldier active. While his overall combat power was immense, his instantaneous burst damage was still lower than that of a top-tier professional, whose base attributes were much higher. That left the second option, luck. Jalen Liang's group had found a crack, which led to Hendunner being injured by a monster called a longsword dragonfish. It resembled the firefish lantern but had a sharp sword instead of a lantern on its head. It was a lord-level boss. He also learned that the ice layer was about 50 meters thick. Undonner's aura was still rising, approaching level 40. It would take time for her to fully recover. Can you get through from the sea? Lin Moyu wondered. The Azure Dragon Sea is adjacent to the eastern continent. It should connect underneath the grassland. Jalen Liang shook his head. People have tried. Even after diving thousands of meters, they only hit ice. You can think of the entire King High grassland as a giant block of ice with a layer of grass on top. Lin Moyu finally understood. His interest was piqued. After his experience in the poison marsh, he was certain there was a secret hidden beneath the grassland, and he resolved to uncover it one day when he was stronger. After they talked for a while longer, Hundonner's aura finally stabilized. She, too, was a professional over level 80, not much weaker than Jelen Liang. A top-tier pharmacist of her level was incredibly rare and valuable, potentially a future god-level pharmacist. When Jelen Liang appeared with a fully recovered Hundonner, it caused another wave of shock throughout the fortress. The Divine Dragon Continent, in the lower dimension of the eternal battlefield, was a landmass in the Far East, said to be the most ancient of all. It was rumored to have some connection to the Divine Xia Empire. When Jelen Liang mentioned this, Lin Moyu's first thought was not of the Divine Xia Empire, but of ancient Huaxia. After all, the primordial rune skills he possessed were written in ancient Huaxia characters. The teleportation array for the Divine Dragon Continent was built on a cliffside, a relatively safe area with few monsters. Nearby was a city, the main hub of the Divine Dragon Continent, where the Jelen Guild was based. Besides their array, several others belonged to various private factions from the Divine Xia Empire. For security reasons, only the Empire's government was permitted to build teleportation arrays within the city itself. From the cliff, one could see the vast Azure Dragon Sea. Its blue waters crashed against the cliffs, the waves resembling dragons, or perhaps snakes, as Jelen Liang mused. But Lin Moyu knew they resembled the dragons of Huaxia legend. Only our Divine Xia Empire has the ability to build cities in the lower dimension, Jelen Liang said with pride. The Eagle Country, Yinghua Country, and the others cannot. Do you know why, Brother Lin? Lin Moyu knew. The land of the eternal battlefield could regenerate itself. It's because our Divine Xia Empire has a demigod expert, Jelen Liang continued. Only a demigod has the power to permanently alter the land here. The land in this area did indeed feel different. The power of a demigod was truly extraordinary. The ancient Divine Xia city was over 1,000 years old, founded by a demigod at the dawn of the empire. Though that demigod had since vanished, the city remained. Other nations could only look on with envy, not daring to challenge it for fear of angering the empire's current demigod. The city has a teleportation array that can reach the eastern, southern, and northern regions of the continent, Jelen Liang explained. Unfortunately, I don't have the clearance to use it. You need to be at least a 6-star colonel. Entering the city felt like returning to the human world. It was bustling with professionals, mostly above level 70. There were quest boards, training facilities, and a large contingent of the Empire's army maintaining order. I need to get to the Wind and Thunder continent in the north, Lin Moyu said. Using the array would be much faster, right? Of course, Jalen Liam replied. It would save you over 10,000 kilometers, and that journey is not safe. The monsters here are slightly weaker than on the wild continent, but there are still many level 80 bosses. He then caught himself. Ah, but I forgot your strength, brother Lin. You killed a level 85 deadly poison dragon. Those monsters are nothing to you. You'll just have to be careful of a few world-class bosses. Only Lin Moyu knew the truth. His victory over the dragon was the result of extreme calculation. If the dragon had been smarter, the outcome might have been different. If he could use the teleportation array, he certainly would. Not knowing Lin Moyu's thoughts, Jalen Lion pulled him into a shop. Let's buy a map first. You'll definitely need one in the lower dimension. The shop here was also opened by the Shenjia Empire. A large crowd of people was lining up outside, but next to them was an empty, unused passageway. Lin Moyu asked, why is no one over there? Jalen Lion explained, that's a special passage for officers, reserved for those with the rank of 6-star colonel or higher. This place is managed by the military, so the treatment for military personnel is a bit better. Lin Moyu immediately started walking. Then let's go that way. Don Lion pulled him back. We can't. I'm only a 1-star colonel. As he said this, Jalen Lion looked a bit embarrassed. After all, he was level 82 but was still only a 1-star colonel. Because he had been wandering the eternal battlefield, he hadn't killed many demons or dragons, nor had he earned much military merit. If he had spent his entire life on the primordial battlefield, he might have been an 8-star colonel by now. Lin Moyu chuckled, it's fine. I'm qualified. Doubt Lin Moyu's words in the slightest. Although Lin Moyu was only level 52, everything he had shown couldn't be judged by common sense. The two of them walked towards the dedicated officer's passage. The people in line all showed expressions of ridicule. Are those two crazy? That's the officer's passage. Exactly. And the other guy. Damn, he's only level 52, how did a level 52 even get here? He must have a rare item that's concealing his level. But it doesn't matter how high or low his level is here. This place only looks at military merit, not level. Just wait and see, they'll be kicked out soon enough. Lin Moyu had already walked into the shop. The passage led to an independent area, completely separate from the regular customers. Furthermore, there were dedicated staff here to serve the officers, allowing them to enjoy different treatment that demonstrated their superior status. The military's management was very strict, with detailed regulations for every aspect, and these regulations were enforced rigorously without any flexibility. The shop mainly sold items used in the lower space, as well as various materials. Jalen Liang said quietly, there's no trading post in the ancient city, so all materials are bought and sold here. Even someone as boisterous and frank as Jalen Liang had to lower his voice here. Less than 2 seconds after they entered, a female soldier approached them. Please present your military insignias. If you do not meet the requirements, please go and line up in the other passage. She had a stern appearance, carrying the dignified air of a soldier. Looking at the insignia on her shoulder, one could see she was an 8-star second lieutenant. She saw the 1-star colonel insignia on Jalen Liang's shoulder, first saluting according to military protocol, then said, you are a 1-star colonel and do not meet the requirements here. Then she turned to Lin Moyu. Where's your military insignia? Her gaze towards Lin Moyu became somewhat strange, even carrying a hint of disdain. As a soldier, one would normally never remove their military insignia. The insignia represented a soldier's honor, but Lin Moyu had none on his shoulder. Either he wasn't a soldier, or he didn't respect the insignia. In her eyes, Lin Moyu most likely belonged to the latter category. Lin Moyu silently took out his military insignia and placed it on his shoulder. The purple insignia carried an air of noble dignity. 2 solid stars were extremely dazzling, and there was also a third, hollow star that was no less brilliant. After seeing Lin Moyu's insignia, the disdain in her eyes vanished instantly, replaced by shock and disbelief. A second later, the shock turned into deep respect. She immediately stood at attention, performing an extremely standard military salute to Lin Moyu, and shouted, Ling Nan, 86th Platoon of the Ancient City Corps, salutes you, Lord Divine General. Lin Moyu nodded. I should be qualified. Right? Yes, Ling Nan answered without hesitation. Lin Moyu added, according to regulations, a Divine General can authorize anyone with sufficient rights. At this moment, Jalen Liang was even more astonished than Ling Nan. He had guessed Lin Moyu's military rank wouldn't be low, but he never imagined that Lin Moyu was a Divine General. He felt a bit dizzy, the world was changing too quickly, too miraculously. Have I gotten old? As the outside world changed so much in the few years I've been in the eternal battlefield. Furthermore, Lin Moyu wasn't just an ordinary Divine General, but a 3-star one. It proved he had killed a demon king, level demon, a powerful existence comparable to a god, level expert among humans. Killing such a figure at level 52 was simply unbelievable. Lin Moyu said to Ling Nan, Second Lieutenant Ling Nan, I'd like to buy a map of the lower space. Ling Nan immediately replied, Lord Divine General, please follow me. Officers had dedicated service in the shop, and Ling Nan was one of the service staff. This was a privilege granted by the military to qualified officers. To enjoy these privileges, one had to kill demons, earn merits, and contribute to the human race. The rewards were equal to the effort, which was very fair. Lord Divine General, this is the most complete map currently available. Ling Nan took out a map and handed it to Lin Moyu. The map was very detailed, marking all known areas. As long as you mark it, the map will immediately display your current location. It's very convenient to use. Thank you. How much is it? Lin Moyu was very satisfied, looking at the location of the Thunder Burial Valley on the map. Ling Nan hurriedly waved her hands. It's free of charge. Lin Moyu was stunned. Free. Ling Nan nodded immediately. Divine Generals have many privileges. Many places in the ancient city are free for you. Lin Moyu guessed it was similar to the fortress on the primordial battlefield. Divine Generals didn't have to pay any fees when using military facilities. Lin Moyu accepted the map without ceremony. Since this regulation existed, it meant he deserved it. Lin Moyu asked again, are there any detailed documents about the lower space? There are, but the documents in the shop aren't very complete. Lord Divine General, please wait a moment. Ling Nan used her communicator to contact someone else. Lin Moyu heard a somewhat exaggerated voice coming from the device. After disconnecting, Ling Nan said, Lord Divine General, please wait a moment. Someone will bring the detailed documents over soon. Lin Moyu nodded. Then introduce me to some other useful items in the shop. Yes, sire. Outside the shop, the people still in line felt strange. Why haven't those two been kicked out yet? Could that young level 52 be a 6-star colonel? Doesn't look like it. I saw he didn't even have an insignia. Did he put it away? Are you kidding? Have you ever seen an officer who puts away their military insignia? Especially in this ancient city. Just as they were discussing, a person descended from the sky and rushed into the shop. Whoa, who's that flying over? I know the leader, that's the corps commander of the ancient city corps, 9-star Colonel Feng Yiming. Why is the corps commander here? Could those two have special identities? No, it must be the young man whose identity is extraordinary. I also know the other one is the young guild master of the Jalen Guild, Jalen Lion. Although the Jalen Guild is the #1 guild in the Shenxia Empire, and even the #1 guild of the entire human race, and the status of a young guild master is not low, compared to the military, it's like a firefly to the moon, completely incomparable. At the very least, Jelen Lion is not qualified to enter the officer's passage. His status as a young guild master is useless in the ancient city. In that case, the only one who could alarm Feng Yiming must be that young man. For a moment, everyone was speculating about Lin Moyu's identity, but no one could guess it. Inside the shop, Feng Yiming respectfully bowed to Lin Moyu. 9-star Colonel Feng Yiming, Corps Commander of the Ancient City Corps, salutes you, Lord Divine General. Just by looking at his uniform, Lin Moyu knew Feng Yiming was from the Feng family. The Feng family was a military lineage, all its descendants were soldiers, and had a special temperament. Lin Moyu smiled. Corps Commander, there's no need to be so formal. Lin Moyu spoke casually, but Feng Yiming dared not be disrespectful to a divine general. This was a military regulation, and coming from a military family, he took it very seriously. He hadn't expected a divine general to grace the Shenxia ancient city, so he had rushed over as soon as he received the news. Moreover, the one who came was not an ordinary 1-star divine general, but a 2-star divine general who had truly killed a demon king. This was a symbol of strength. How could he dare not be respectful? Feng Yiming took out several books, which looked thick and heavy at a glance. Lord Divine General, all the documents we currently have about the lower space are here. Where would you like to read them? Lin Moyu took the documents. I'll read them right here. Lin Moyu's reading speed was very fast, like a gust of wind, remembering everything with a single glance. The books looked very thick and heavy, but Lin Moyu finished reading them in just an hour. Feng Yiming remained silent the whole time, not even making a sound, just watching Lin Moyu read. But during this time, he had been operating the communicator on his wrist. Gradually, the way he looked at Lin Moyu began to change, and the respect in his eyes grew deeper. Through some of his private channels, he had learned some information about Lin Moyu, learned of his stories, and knew how Lin Moyu had obtained the rank of a 2-star divine general. Lin Moyu was very young, yet in just 1 year, he had achieved something that most people couldn't achieve in a lifetime. After finishing the documents, Lin Moyu returned them to Feng Yiming. Commander Feng, I would like to borrow the teleportation array in the ancient city for a moment. Feng Yiming patted his chest. No problem. When are you planning to depart? Right now. A group of people left the shop and headed towards the teleportation array. The high-level professionals outside the shop witnessed Lin Moyu's group leaving and saw Corps Commander Feng Yiming leading the way at the very front. Someone with sharp eyes saw the military insignia on Lin Moyu's shoulder. Whoa, it turns out a divine general has arrived. I saw it too. I can't believe that person is a divine general. No wonder the Corps Commander rushed over in such a hurry. Damn, I was blind. I didn't expect him to be a divine general. I just don't know what level of divine general has come to this place. I know who he is. He must be Lin Moyu. Someone who had recently arrived in the lower space and had heard about Lin Moyu's deeds back in the human world said. After a quick comparison, he figured it out. He was immediately surrounded by others, asking about Lin Moyu's stories. It was believed that stories about Lin Moyu would quickly spread throughout the ancient city. Lin Moyu arrived at the teleportation array and said to Jalen Lion, Big brother Lion, I'll be going first. We'll meet again if fate allows. After learning of Lin Moyu's identity, Jalen Lion had become somewhat more reserved. Alright, we'll meet again if fate allows. Lin Moyu sighed inwardly. This was why he didn't like to show his military insignia, otherwise, it would be like this, making even normal conversation difficult. In this regard, Jalen Lion was a bit different from Shixingen. Shixingen had been the same from beginning to end, never changing a bit. With a hint of regret, Lin Moyu stepped into the teleportation array. After seeing Lin Moyu off, Feng Yiming let out a long sigh. That was truly a revered great god. Ling Nan was a bit confused. Commander, haven't divine generals come here before? Feng Yiming said, there are differences among divine generals. Have you ever seen a level 52 divine general? Ling Nan was stunned. Wasn't he concealing his level? Feng Yiming laughed heartily. He wasn't concealing anything. He's really just level 52. How is that possible? Ling Nan was dumbfounded. She had always thought Lin Moyu was hiding his level, that he should actually be level 80 or even a god-level expert. Feng Yiming's eyes held a thoughtful look. He is truly a legend. The teleportation array sent Lin Moyu over 10,000 kilometers away, to the northern Divine Dragon continent. It was said that the teleportation array of the Shenxia ancient city was built at the same time as the city itself, using a fixed, one-way teleportation method. There was no corresponding teleportation array where Lin Moyu landed. In other words, if he wanted to return to the Shenxia ancient city, he would have to either travel back himself or return via a teleportation stone. Teleportation stones were sold in the shop, and Feng Yiming had given him a box of 10. Except for in secret realms, dungeons, or some other special places, as long as one was in the lower space, they could return to the Shenxia ancient city using a teleportation stone. These stones were single-use and very expensive. Each one cost over 50 million gold coins, equivalent to half a high-level skill scroll. Ordinary professionals couldn't bear to use them. Feng Yiming's gift of over 500 million gold coins was indeed very generous. Lin Moyu activated his wings of the undead and lightning, heading north. According to the documents he had just read, he should be able to see the wind and lightning sea in about 100 kilometers. Beyond the wind and lightning sea was the wind and lightning continent. The Thunder Burial Valley was located adjacent to the wind and lightning continent. According to the information Lin Moyu had gathered, the distance from the teleportation array to the wind and lightning sea was currently quite peaceful, with no powerful bosses. At most, there were some ordinary monsters slightly above level 7e. For Lin Moyu, killing them was not difficult at all. Even so, Lin Moyu remained cautious. He didn't fly too high or too fast, carefully observing his surroundings. Among the 4 continents, the Divine Dragon continent was the safest, the other 3 were much more dangerous. The sound of waves gradually reached his ears. A few minutes later, Lin Moyu arrived at the coast. Boom! Thunder echoed across the sky, instantly illuminating the perpetually dim sky of the eternal battlefield. Lin Moyu saw roiling thunder and lightning deep within the wind and lightning sea. Dense bolts of lightning connected the heavens and the earth, striking the sea surface and raising thousands upon thousands of great waves. The wind and lightning sea was far more violent than the Azure Dragon Sea. Each continent was separated by a sea, and each sea had its own characteristics. The characteristic of the wind and lightning sea was its wind and lightning, hence the name. The wind and lightning disrupted the space, which made it impossible to set up teleportation arrays on both sides. People had tried before, but they were all interrupted mid-teleportation by the wind and lightning, either falling into the void or appearing in a random location. Some were even sent to the most dangerous falling star continent due to the chaotic space, never to return. In the end, it was confirmed that the safest and most reliable way to get to the wind and lightning continent was to fly across the wind and lightning sea. Lin Moyu observed the situation in the wind and lightning sea. To cross it successfully, the first thing to be careful of was the wind and lightning. I have immunity to both elements, so that's not a problem. Next, I need to pay attention to the monsters of the sea race. In the wind and lightning sea, there's a monster called the flying fish, which has both wind and lightning attributes. In every school of flying fish, there will be a flying fish king, which is a lore-level boss. I need to be extremely careful with that. Other than that, there shouldn't be any other problems. Lin Moyu recalled the documents he had just read, then found the correct location and flew straight across. He pushed his speed to its maximum, 700 meters per second. The distance between the Divine Dragon continent and the Wind and Lightning continent was about 3,000 kilometers. At his speed, it would probably take about 30 minutes to cross the Wind and Lightning Sea. Looking down at the vast sea below, Lin Moyu found it hard to imagine what kind of expert could have split an entire continent into 4 parts, even creating seas in between and turning the center into an endless void. A god-level expert probably didn't have such an ability. A demigod might not be able to do it either. It would require at least a super god level or a level like in Tazra's. Perhaps one day, I can do it too. Boom! The sound of thunder reached his ears. Lin Moyu had already rushed into the lightning-filled area. The seawater in the Wind and Lightning Sea was whipped up by the fierce wind, rising to the sky and then falling back down, like a heavy downpour. Lightning continuously struck down, locking onto any creature that entered the area. The originally chaotic lightning bolts now had a target as Lin Moyu entered the region. A dense rain of lightning bolts struck towards him. Lin Moyu was fearless, calmly enduring it. 80 lightning element immunity, plus a 600 elemental resistance boost from his body, meant he was unaffected by the lightning attacks. In fact, the slight tingling sensation made him a bit nostalgic, reminding him of the world of rotten corpses where he was constantly struck by lightning. It was truly a case of sparks flying with lightning. Without hesitation, Lin Moyu rushed towards the Wind and Lightning continent. A few minutes later, black dots appeared ahead. Lin Moyu saw many black fish-like monsters. The bodies of these fish were flat, slender, and long, looking like unsharpened roof swords. Each one had dozens of small wings. They formed a school of over 100, breaking through the fierce winds at an incredible speed. The lightning didn't strike them. Flying Fish Lord. Lin Moyu saw the largest one among the school of flying fish. The Flying Fish Lord was over 10 meters long, standing out among the average 3-meter long flying fish. The school of flying fish had also spotted Lin Moyu. The entire group changed direction and charged towards him, moving as fast as an arrow leaving a bow. The speed of the flying fish was incredibly fast, surpassing Lin Moyu's imagination. They crossed a distance of several hundred meters in less than 0.1 seconds, and they did so silently. If they attacked from behind, one might not even notice them. But no matter how fast they were, it was useless against Lin Moyu. Just as the flying fish got close, before Lin Moyu could even launch an attack, they all suddenly stopped. A thick layer of white bone covered their bodies. Skill, Bone Prison. Over 100 flying fish, including the lore-level boss, were all bound simultaneously. Binding so many monsters at once, especially when their levels were higher than his, meant the duration of the binding was quite short. In less than a second, the bone prison showed signs of breaking, but that was enough. A red light flashed, and all the flying fish were simultaneously hit by a curse. Next, a detection spell landed on the Flying Fish Lord. Flying Fish Lord tier boss level, 79 strength, 500,000 agility, 1 million spirit, 500,000 physique, 700,000 skills, piercing wind blade, lightning chain. Traits, 50 wind element damage reduction, lightning element immunity, speed boost enhancement. Total attributes 2.7 million. Not very high. He had gotten used to seeing the attributes of world-class bosses. Looking back at the attributes of a lore-level boss, he felt nothing at all. Lin Moyu was very calm. After checking the attributes, he had a plan. The Undead Legion appeared, instantly forming an encirclement to counter-attack the flying fish. The most troublesome thing about these flying fish was their sheer number, which was why people usually cross the Wind and Lightning Sea in teams of at least 50 to ensure a safe passage. No one ever went alone like Lin Moyu. The Flying Fish Lord shrieked, its entire body glowing. A shimmering light appeared on all the flying fish. Thunder rumbled in the sky, and in an instant, a large amount of lightning descended from the heavens, striking the flying fish. Then, these lightning bolts jumped from the flying fish to the skeletons. The lightning chain skill not only relied on its own power but also borrowed the power of natural lightning. The power of this skill was not small, as the entire school of flying fish activated it together. If other professionals encountered this, even someone who had surpassed level 80 like Jalen would have a headache. But against the Undead Legion, it was still a bit lacking. The number of undead was too large, the lightning damage was distributed among the entire group, so the damage each skeleton took was not high. The Lich General casually cast a few healing spells, and they were fine. Amidst the lightning, the skeletons began to counter-attack. Kill successful. Obtained Flying Fish Scale. Kill successful. Obtained Flying Fish Scale. The notifications popped up continuously. The attacks of the skeleton sharpshooters and skeleton grand mages were extremely powerful. After one wave of attacks, more than half of the flying fish were gone. The Grand Mage's elemental burst, and the sharpshooter's sharp arrows, when facing a world-class boss without the aid of the Empower minion skill, couldn't even break through its defense. But against these high agility, low defense flying fish, they became invincible weapons. Especially since both skills had a lock, an attribute, no matter how fast the flying fish were, they couldn't escape. Combined with the curse of decrepitude, Lin Moyu was completely confident that when facing monsters below level 80, he could easily overcome them. He could dominate the wild continent, and he could dominate the wind and lightning sea as well. Even the flying fish lord could only last for less than 3 minutes under the siege of the Undead Legion. The gap between level 79 and level 80 was quite significant. Kill successful, flying fish lord. Experience 79 million. Obtained, flying fish knight sword. Obtained, flying fish essence. Flying fish knight sword quasi-legendary weapon type, knight specific weapon stats, all attributes 20,000 effect, knight class attack skills damage 100. Flying fish. Essence quasi-legendary material use, crafting material for quasi-legendary equipment. Lin Moyu glanced at the attributes. Although it was called a quasi-legendary weapon, its stats were really poor, and it didn't even have the most important additional skill. It was even worse than a top-tier platinum-grade weapon. Its only advantage was the significant attribute increase. Lin Moyu casually put it away to be thrown into a trading post later. After easily dealing with the school of flying fish, Lin Moyu continued forward. The lightning grew denser, and the sound of thunder constantly echoed in his ears. Lin Moyu flew very fast, and flying faster in the sea attracted more lightning. From a distance, Lin Moyu had turned into a ball of lightning, dragging a long tail as he streaked across the sky. After flying for a dozen minutes, Lin Moyu reached the center of the wind and lightning sea. A wave of energy fluctuation came from his left. Someone was fighting, and there were a lot of them. Lin Moyu's immense spiritual power and extremely sensitive perception instantly detected a battle taking place about 3,000 meters away. The scale of the battle was not small, and it was filled with the aura of professionals. Without much thought, Lin Moyu rushed straight over. From a distance, he saw many black dots. The area filled with lightning had turned into a massive thunderball. Several thousand flying fish were attacking a large number of professionals. Besides the flying fish, there were also several giant tentacles extending from the sea, attacking the professionals along with the flying fish. Lin Moyu flew through the thunderball and saw at least 5,060 professionals trapped inside. They had tried to break through the encirclement several times but had failed. The number of flying fish was too large, and with the monsters in the water, they could only defend. A school of over 1,000 flying fish was indeed rare. Although flying fish were herd monsters, they usually numbered in the hundreds. A school of over 1,000 was extremely rare. Moreover, to command so many flying fish, the flying fish lord among them was likely over level 80. Above level 80 and below level 80 were completely different levels of strength. However, among the human professionals, only a few leaders were above level 80, and they were leading the entire battle. Otherwise, they would have been defeated long ago. Lin Moyu observed for a moment and realized that most of the trouble was caused by the monsters under the sea. After a moment's thought, he dived into the sea. At the bottom of the sea, he saw the main body of the tentacles. It was a monster similar to a plant, a messy clump like a cluster of seaweed. The extending tentacles were its vines. It floated in the seawater, looking very strange. Wind and lightning seaweed cluster. He had seen a similar monster in the documents but wasn't entirely sure. A detection spell flew out. Wind and lightning seaweed cluster. Lord tier boss level, 78 strength, 600,000 agility, 500,000 spirit, 500,000 physique, 1 million skills, entangle, lightning chain. Traits, 50 physical damage reduction, lightning element immunity, enhanced vitality, enhanced recovery. So it is. A rare plant-type boss with a symbiotic relationship with the flying fish. Their skills could be coordinated. Lin Moyu thought to himself, the results of the detection spell completely matched the information he had read. This type of monster was not numerous, and was very rare, usually acting together with schools of flying fish. With its existence, the power of the flying fish school would be greatly increased. The plant-type Lord boss had the characteristics of a plant-type boss, with higher than average attributes among its peers. Furthermore, it had enhanced vitality and enhanced recovery. Once entangled by its vines, it was very difficult to escape. It posed a great threat to professionals, but similarly, if professionals encountered it, wind and lightning seaweed cluster, they would also do everything they could to kill it. The seaweed clusters on its body were called lightning seaweed. Lightning seaweed was a very rare material. It could be refined into a lightning potion by an alchemist, which could permanently increase lightning element immunity. Since I've encountered it, I won't be polite. When reading the documents, Lin Moyu was already a bit tempted. An item that could permanently increase lightning element immunity was very valuable. Even if he couldn't use it, he could trade it for other items. The wildly attacking wind and lightning seaweed cluster suddenly froze, covered by a layer of white bone. Suddenly, the besieged group of professionals discovered that the tentacles of the wind and lightning seaweed had become motionless, and a white substance had appeared on their surface. In an instant, their pressure was greatly reduced. A few of the leading professionals shouted, "Seize the opportunity," and counter-attack. They began to launch fierce attacks on the flying fish. At the same time, the flying fish sensed that the seaweed cluster was being attacked, and a large number of them dived into the sea to cause trouble for Lin Moyu. This also reduced the burden on the professionals by a small margin. The group of professionals counter-attacked with all their strength. Among them, 3 professionals who had surpassed level 80 were focusing all their efforts on besieging the flying fish lord. Even they needed to go all out to fight a level 80 flying fish lord. These professionals were from the same faction, wearing the same type of attire. The fact that they could hold out for so long under the siege of over 1,000 flying fish proved that their combat strength was quite formidable. Now that they were not harassed by the seaweed cluster, their combat strength erupted completely. One by one, the flying fish were killed and fell. The flying fish lord unleashed its skills, causing lightning to flash. Under its command, all the flying fish flew back and forth. Their bodies were their most powerful weapons. The battle between the two sides immediately entered a decisive stage. The flying fish lord seemed a bit anxious, constantly letting out sharp cries. The group of professionals besieging the flying fish lord suddenly realized something and shouted, "Not good, someone is killing the wind and lightning seaweed cluster. Team 3, you guys go down and take a look." "Got it," several people immediately responded. They ignored the flying fish and flew straight down. Just as they were about to dive into the water, Lin Moyu flew out from it. In his hands was the corpse of the wind and lightning seaweed cluster. In just a few short minutes, Lin Moyu had easily eliminated it. At this moment, the flying fish lord let out a piercing shriek, then turned and fled with a flash of lightning. The entire school of flying fish also fled into the distance in an instant. Their flying speed was so fast that they disappeared from sight in a moment. Because the seaweed cluster had been killed, they had sensed the danger, and their survival instinct made them flee without looking back. Lin Moyu sighed inwardly. They run pretty fast. Although he could have stopped them, it wasn't necessary. "Don't chase them," the leader shouted, shifting his attention to Lin Moyu. Their goal on this trip was not the flying fish, but the wind and lightning seaweed cluster in Lin Moyu's hands. The leader stared at Lin Moyu with a cold and somewhat surprised gaze. "Level 52. It seems you've hidden your level." No matter what, he couldn't believe that someone who was only level 52 could kill the seaweed cluster. Moreover, how could a level 52 person even enter the lower space? However, since Lin Moyu was able to kill the seaweed cluster, he was still quite wary of his strength. Looking around, he didn't see anyone else, but he couldn't be sure if Lin Moyu's companions were hiding underwater. He whispered a few words to his teammates, then his tiger-like eyes stared at Lin Moyu, his gaze filled with killing intent. "Why did you, a person from Shenxia, steal our boss?" Lin Moyu had already recognized that this group of people belonged to the Holy See. The attire of the Holy See was quite distinctive and easy to recognize. The relationship between the Holy See and the Shenxia Empire was barely considered amicable, neither good nor bad. There were usually no major conflicts, but they had never interacted much. Lin Moyu didn't like his gaze. "I thought you were besieged, so I kindly helped you out." Although Lin Moyu's words were true, it was obvious the man didn't believe him. "Person from Shenxia, we are a team from the Holy See. My name is Chris. We came here this time to hunt the wind and lightning seaweed cluster. If your actions were out of goodwill, then this matter ends here. Just return the seaweed cluster, and we will not hold it against you. Not only that, but you can also gain the friendship of our Holy See." When he spoke, he carried a condescending air, as if he had Lin Moyu completely in his grasp. Lin Moyu was so angered by his words that he laughed. "On what grounds?" Chris's voice gradually deepened. "Person from Shenxia, we discovered the boss first. You shouldn't have interfered. Return the seaweed cluster to us." From the very beginning, if he hadn't spoken like that, Lin Moyu might have been kind enough to share some of the seaweed cluster with them. But now, Lin Moyu's voice also grew cold. "So what? If I hadn't acted, you wouldn't have been able to handle the school of flying fish and the seaweed cluster. You might have all died. You should be grateful to me, expressing your gratitude for saving you." At this moment, someone whispered a few words in Chris's ear. Chris nodded slightly. "Person from Shenxia, we were fully prepared. We must have it this time. I'll give you one last chance. Return the seaweed cluster to us, and I will decide to give you a 1/10th share." The threat of not returning it was crystal clear. While the two were talking, some of his teammates had silently gotten ready. Lin Moyu asked, "And if I don't kill me?" Chris tightened his grip on the knight's sword in his hand, and the shield on his other arm began to glow faintly. He was a unique profession of the Holy See, a Holy Templar, combining the advantages of a knight and a warrior. He had the super eye defense of a knight, and the attack power of a warrior. In the eyes of many, the Holy Templar was a nearly perfect profession. His eyes revealed a serious look, his voice like thunder. Hand over the seaweed cluster, or you won't be leaving here. As soon as he finished speaking, his subordinates, about 50 of them, immediately flew over and surrounded Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu acted as if he didn't notice, letting them surround him. He found it somewhat amusing. Where does this group of people get their confidence from? It's as if they're certain they can defeat me. He truly had good intentions in saving them and hadn't thought of snatching their boss. If they had negotiated properly from the beginning, spoken nicely, and shown some gratitude, he might have still played the good guy. Even giving them half wouldn't have been a big deal. After all, his lightning element immunity had already reached 80, the highest level, so the effect of the lightning seaweed on him wasn't that significant. But now, not only were they ungrateful, they even blamed him for stealing their boss. In that case, let's just say I did steal it. Not only did I steal it, but I also want to kill people now. Lin Moyu sneered, finally showing your true colors. Chris took a deep breath and said, Our holy sea and you people from Shenxia have no grudges. I'll give you one last chance. Hand over the seaweed cluster, and I'll let you go. While speaking, he secretly glanced around. Lin Moyu found it hilarious. Stop looking. I have no backup. Actually, have you ever considered that if I alone could kill the seaweed cluster, then have you ever guessed whether I alone can kill all of you? Lin Moyu had killed people before, quite a lot in fact. But if it wasn't necessary, he wouldn't act. Once he did, he would absolutely leave no survivors. At this moment, a billowing killing intent emanated from his godstone domain. The killing intent shot straight up to the sky like a column of black smoke. Even the lightning in the sea of lightning stayed 3 feet away. Chris's expression changed suddenly. He realized he had overlooked something. He had always thought Lin Moyu had backup hidden underwater. But he had never considered how powerful Lin Moyu could be if he acted alone. Thinking of it now, Chris broke out in a cold sweat. He felt the killing intent that Lin Moyu released, and instinctively shivered. He let out a loud roar and turned to leave, but it was too late. He saw a layer of white bone appear on everyone's bodies, including his own. In an instant, he couldn't move. Except for his head and eyes, which could still move, the rest of his body was controlled. Massive energy flowed through his body. As a Holy Templar, he naturally had a skill that could break control. His entire body lit up, and it took him less than a second to break free from the control. Not just him, but the other professionals as well. Breaking free from control was not difficult. The difficult part was what came next. In less than a second, his life and death could be decided. A brilliant red light flashed past. He saw a small red sword with chains appear above everyone's heads, and then everything seemed to slow down. Following that, legions of skeletons materialized densely in the air. Above, below, and all around him were nothing but skeletons, each with a face so ferocious it was terrifying. A glowing ring appeared beneath the feet of each skeleton, and an unknown flame ignited, and blazed fiercely upon his body. Since when? A layer of frost appeared on his skin, and thousands of lightning bolts rained down from above. Then, he watched with his own eyes as a skeleton raised its axe, preparing to strike him down. A crimson glow pulsed on the axe's blade. Supreme maximum defense. Although he still couldn't move, at the last moment, Chris activated his strongest defensive skill. Supreme maximum defense was an upgraded version of a knight's maximum defense, only obtainable after surpassing level 80. It could be maintained for 60 seconds. Combat experience told Chris that within these 60 seconds, he was invincible. Even powerful bosses couldn't harm him during this time. Not just him, but the other Holy Templars in his team also activated Supreme Maximum Defense. Simultaneously. There were about 3 others, like him, who had surpassed level 80. In the state of Supreme Maximum Defense, he would not be affected by any negative statuses. Even the previous negative effects vanished at this moment. The Berserker skeletons swung their axes and launched their skills to attack Chris. A thunderous explosion rang out, but Chris only swayed slightly. A faint light emanated from his body. The attack had been blocked. In the state of Supreme Maximum Defense, his defense had reached its peak. Lin Moyu wasn't too surprised. After all, they were level 80 Holy Templars. How could they not have life-saving measures? But so what? Their fate would not change in the slightest. Those who deserved to die still had to die. Lin Moyu looked at Chris, who had just broken free from the control, and murmured, "Next, you should run." As soon as Chris broke free, he heard tragic screams. Someone had already fallen under the axe of a Berserker skeleton. Not everyone had the ability to break free from control in an instant. Even if they did, they still had to face the axes of the Berserker skeletons. Boom, boom, boom. A series of powerful explosions rang out. Chris endured hundreds of attacks in an instant. Elemental bursts exploded ceaselessly on his body, followed by sharp arrows that tore through space and struck him, making a sound like metal hitting metal. Thousands of skeleton mages, and tens of thousands of skeleton sharpshooters attacked in unison, their rate of fire terrifyingly high. The explosions were relentless, the tragic screams continued, and more people died. Chris had intended to fight Lin Moyu to the death, but when he saw the dense horde of skeletons and heard the miserable cries of his comrades, he knew he had no chance. Flee, without a moment's hesitation, he turned and immediately unleashed an attack skill, blasting away the surrounding skeletons before making his escape. Not just him, but the other two level 80 Holy Templars did the same. Their bodies glowed with a dazzling light as they frantically charged out from the encirclement of skeletons. They didn't even know which direction to run, they only knew they had to escape this encirclement. However, no matter how hard they tried to escape, skeletons appeared in every direction around them, too numerous to count. The attacks of the berserker skeletons were not just overwhelming their defenses, they were actively blocking their path, preventing them from leaving. The three of them fought desperately to break out, knocking away one skeleton after another. But the number of skeletons was truly too great. A total of 30,000 skeletons occupied a vast space in the sky. No matter what they did, they couldn't find a way out. Time passed, second by second, and Chris grew more and more desperate. There was no hope left. The agonizing screams of his companions echoed in his ears. One by one, his friends were killed, he could see them continuously leaving the party. In this situation, leaving the party was synonymous with death. Finally, a minute passed. The glowing ring around his body completely vanished. Maximum defense. With his ultimate skill, Supreme Maximum Defense, gone, he could only take a step back and use Maximum Defense. Although it could enhance his defense to a degree, it didn't make him invincible. Moreover, it could only be maintained for 30 seconds, and under constant attack, that duration would likely be shortened. Lin Moyu had been watching his every move. The instant he activated Maximum Defense, the berserker skeletons launched a surprise attack. Elemental bursts and sharp arrows followed. The light of Maximum Defense managed to hold on for nearly 2 seconds before instantly shattering. He turned his head to meet Lin Moyu's gaze, suddenly realizing that his efforts over the past minute had only allowed him to escape less than 100 meters. It wasn't just him, all three Holy Templars were in the same predicament. None of them were better off than the others. Area Defense Skill. Chris activated his last all-around defensive skill. A protective barrier appeared, pushing the surrounding berserker skeletons away and giving him a moment to breathe. Other skills were useless. When facing attacks from all directions, other defensive skills were too one-dimensional. However, he knew full well that this area defense skill would only hold for a few seconds at most. It seemed Chris had made his decision. He knelt in mid-air, placed his shield before him, and raised his longsword high. Ah, Holy Sea Sacrifice. His eyes were filled with piety as a beam of pure white light shot into the sky. The other two Holy Templars also knelt in mid-air, raising their longswords high, their postures identical to Chris's. They all shouted in unison, Holy Sea Sacrifice. 3 beams of white light shot into the sky and merged into one. Under the cover of the white light, the three of them seemed to enter a strange state. Attacks were blocked, and the skeletons could not get within half a step. A sacrifice skill, like the Abyss Demons. He had experienced the Abyss Demons' sacrifices many times, which ultimately summoned an incredibly powerful demon. He wondered what the sacrifice of these three would bring. He vaguely sensed something was wrong, and issued a new command. The tragic screams grew louder, and more frequent. In a flash, aside from Chris and his 2 companions, all the remaining members of the Holy Sea were killed. The white light from the 3 of them fused together, illuminating 100-mile radius of the wind and lightning sea. Within this light, the wind stilled and the thunder ceased. A great radiance descended from the sky. Then, the 3 of them chanted in unison, "We beseech the divine descent." A hazy figure immediately appeared within the light. It had the shape of a woman. A pair of pure white wings appeared behind the hazy figure. This was not a demon, nor was it from the dragon race. The hazy figure gradually solidified, radiating a holy light. Lin Moyu frowned and said, "An angel." Angels were one of the totems of the Holy Sea. The god this sect worshipped was named the Holy Lord, called the Supreme God. Angels were the subordinates and messengers of the Supreme God, also divine beings. As the angel transformed from a hazy figure into a solid entity, the bodies of the 3 Holy Templars gradually faded, eventually merging into the angel. The angel slowly opened its eyes, its razor-sharp gaze fixed on Lin Moyu. "Heretic, you should be burned to death by the holy fire." Lin Moyu sensed a god-level aura from the opponent and immediately threw out a detection spell. Holy Spirit Angel pseudo-god level formed from the faith of generations of Holy Sea followers. Summoned through the sacrifice of life, possessing pseudo-god level strength, but only exists for 5 minutes. Fortunately, it's only pseudo-god level. He had killed a suppressed demon king and a comatose, near-death venom god. Even if this level 90 pseudo-god was stronger than the flame demon king, it wouldn't be by much. Ain Qa had once said that all pseudo-gods were level 90, No other levels existed. Both were level 90, but the difference between a pseudo-god and a true god was like heaven and earth. If the one summoned was a level 90 god level expert, Lin Moyu wouldn't hesitate to turn and flee. But now, Lin Moyu took a deep breath. Then let's give it a try. I still have 7 pieces of solidified flame god's blood essence. That should be enough. If not, there's still the venom god's blood essence and even the Ga head. If that's still not enough, I'll use the venom god's corpse as a detonator. I don't believe it can't kill you. His eyes showed excitement and a blazing fighting spirit. Lin Moyu had many trump cards up his sleeve. He was not afraid at all. The air seemed to scream as a murderous aura swept down, enveloping the newly formed Holy Spirit Angel. The Holy Spirit Angel, targeted by the killing intent, trembled slightly, clearly very uncomfortable. She raised her hand and struck a palm towards Lin Moyu. It didn't look like she used any skill, but the sea surface suddenly collapsed, creating a huge vortex. Lin Moyu was hit by a massive force and fell straight down. The power of this single palm strike was immense. Lin Moyu didn't know what skill it was, but under this one strike, his undead legion had suffered heavy damage. He pointed a finger, launching a bone prison. This time, he only targeted a single entity, maximizing the binding force of the bone prison. The Holy Spirit Angel's attack momentum was broken in an instant. Lin Moyu took this opportunity to escape, flying out. The berserker skeletons seized the chance and rushed forward, surrounding the Holy Spirit Angel from all sides. The Holy Spirit Angel was over 50 meters tall. The skeletons in front of her were like ants. But now, those ants were crawling all over her. Skeleton mages and skeleton sharpshooters surrounded her from all directions, continuously launching attacks. At this moment, flames blazed on the Holy Spirit Angel's body, a holy fire rising to the sky. The bone prison collapsed instantly. A huge area of the sea was evaporated, and hot steam rose into the air. The berserker skeletons were engulfed in flames, suffering severe injuries. The Lich General was extremely busy, frantically healing at an incredible speed. A light flashed in Lin Moyu's palm as he activated the Empower Minions skill. At the same time, he raised a finger, and a lightning source descended. A second later, the lightning source was incinerated by the holy fire, and a few blue sparks exploded. Skill, Venom Explosion. The Holy Spirit Angel's white flames instantly turned a pale green, looking just like the fire of the abyss. A soul flame danced in Lin Moyu's left palm. In his right hand, he held a piece of solidified flame god's blood essence and summoned a flame elemental. Lich. Lin Moyu gave the command. The berserker skeletons simultaneously unleashed their skills. Elemental bursts and sharp arrows exploded on the Holy Spirit Angel's body at the same time. The Holy Spirit Angel's body contorted. She was clearly in great pain. In the state of Empower Minions, the attacks of the Undead Legion and the wounds from the Soul Flame could both harm her. The flames that were originally burning on her body were nearly extinguished. Holy fire. The Holy Spirit Angel whispered. A brilliant holy fire blazed on her body once again. Her wings flapped gently, spreading the flames in all directions. In an instant, it scorched the heavens and the earth, enveloping all the skeletons within. The entire Undead Legion was fiercely burning, with no exceptions. Even Lin Moyu's body was covered in flames, being burned all over. The damage of the holy fire was very strong. The Holy Spirit Angel's fire was not real fire, it was a combination of fire and light elements. Its damage was extremely high. Lin Moyu felt that the power of the Holy Spirit Angel was even a bit stronger than the suppressed Flame Demon King. At this moment, a god-level aura fluctuated slightly. An extremely unstable aura flew out from the Flame Elemental Lich, and shot straight towards the Holy Spirit Angel. The Holy Spirit Angel had inherited the hatred of Chris and his 2 companions towards Lin Moyu, so all her attention was on him, and she paid no mind to the Flame Elemental Lich. All the berserker skeletons simultaneously detached from the Holy Spirit Angel, hastily retreating. Boom! The tragic scream of the Holy Spirit Angel exploded along with the flames. The corpses of the Holy See members were thrown here, one after another. After they were killed, their bodies were not wasted but became weapons against the Holy Spirit Angel at this moment. Lin Moyu's left hand used the corpse explosion skill to detonate the bodies, while his right hand took out another piece of solidified Flame God's blood essence. The flames raged as he began to summon another Flame Elemental Lich. Lin Moyu knew he couldn't kill the Holy Spirit Angel with just one cell destruction. This pseudo-god was stronger than the Flame Demon King who had come from 1,000 miles away just to give his life. Moreover, there were no restrictions here, so she could exert her full power. The life force of a level 70 professional was quite strong. After being enhanced several dozen times, the power of corpse explosion was just as formidable. The shockwave from the explosion nearly blew out the flames on the Holy Spirit Angel's body. Under continuous attack, the Holy Spirit Angel was undoubtedly enraged. A great sword appeared in her hand. The sword was forged from holy fire, the Sword of Judgment. She whispered again, and countless sword images appeared in mid-air, instantly enveloping over 10,000 berserker skeletons. In the sword light, the bodies of the berserker skeletons burned fiercely and quickly melted. Lin Moyu knew that these berserker skeletons had essentially died once. Due to the existence of the undying aura, they recovered half of their life force after suffering a fatal wound, but continuous attacks could still kill them for good. A tremendous power completely ignored Lin Moyu's comprehensive connection talent, and directly damaged the berserker skeletons. Lin Moyu wasn't surprised, his level was too low, so the level of his skills was not high enough. Although the attributes of the skeletons were strong, those were enhanced attributes. Their original life force was not considered strong, so when faced with an overwhelmingly powerful attack, they would be taken down in an instant. An instant kill would lead to the effect of the comprehensive connection talent disappearing. He had realized this early on, and as his level increased, this problem would naturally be solved. The Holy Spirit Angel attacked fiercely. The Sword of Judgment cut down over 10,000 berserker skeletons in an instant. From the start of the battle until now, only 3 or 4 seconds had passed, but it had already entered a state of fierce intensity. The Holy Spirit Angel swung the Sword of Judgment again, and another 10,000 berserker skeletons were killed under its blade. The flames on the Holy Spirit Angel's body were still burning fiercely. It was impossible to distinguish between her holy fire and the flames ignited by the flame elemental lich. Amidst tens of thousands of rays of holy light, another flame elemental lich pounced on the Holy Spirit Angel. A deafening roar sounded as the second flame elemental lich exploded. The Holy Spirit Angel screamed tragically. One of her wings was blown off, and several parts of her body exploded into fragments. Using a piece of solidified flame god's blood essence to summon a flame elemental lich could unleash an attack with power equivalent to a pseudo-god, enough to severely injure the Holy Spirit Angel. However, Lin Moyu suddenly realized that the self-destruction of the flame elemental lich was not enhanced by the Empower minion skill. Otherwise, just a few self-destructions would have been enough to take down the Holy Spirit Angel in an instant. The holy fire on the Holy Spirit Angel's body soared to the sky again. Within the holy fire, the toxins from the venom explosion were eliminated, and the holy fire returned to its original pure color. The Holy Spirit Angel's wounds also healed quickly within the holy fire. A large amount of seawater evaporated, and the steam diffused, covering the surrounding area and obstructing vision. Tough to deal with. Lin Moyu could feel that although the Holy Spirit Angel had used the holy fire to heal her wounds and remove the poison, her aura was slightly weaker than before. Obviously, her power was not limitless, and the previous attack had had some effect on her. Lin Moyu's killing intent intensified. A drop of dark green fresh blood appeared in his palm. The blood essence of the Venom God. The body of the Venom God was in his hands, so naturally, he had its blood essence as well. The Venom God was a mint god. Its blood essence was very fresh, and the power contained within it was even more terrifying. Lin Moyu used this fresh blood essence to summon an elemental lich. A green light pierced through, dyeing the area within 100 miles a strange color. A bizarre mixture of poisons continuously diffused within the steam. A venom elemental lich, about 1 meter tall and glowing with green light, appeared in front of Lin Moyu. It replaced the flame elemental lich. A dark green ring of light appeared at the feet of every skeleton. Venom aura. An additional aura for all members of the Undead Legion, dealing 10 points of strength damage per second to all enemies within 1,000 meters, with infinite stacking. At first glance, this aura didn't seem remarkable, but on closer inspection, it was extremely powerful. 10 points of damage per second was pitifully weak, almost negligible. The most important thing was the final property, infinite stacking. Lin Moyu currently had 30,720 skeletons. Under the effect of infinite stacking, it would cause over 300,000 points of damage per second to all targets within range. A professional providing buffs wouldn't last long against this aura. If the number of skeletons continued to increase, the damage would increase accordingly. For Lin Moyu, the number of enemies, big or small, was meaningless. Whether it was the Undead Legion or Corpse Explosion, Lin Moyu had never been afraid of being besieged. Now with this skill, any weak enemy would die as soon as they came close. Previously, whether it was the skeletons or his skills, most of his combat capabilities relied on the comprehensive growth talent. The appearance of this aura was the only thing that didn't. It could be said that even without the comprehensive growth talent now, Lin Moyu was still the strongest among his peers. And even challenging those 10 levels higher was not a problem. The Holy Spirit Angel, who had just cleansed herself of the poison, turned green again. Lin Moyu looked at the Venom Elemental Lich before him, and even he felt his hair stand on end. It wasn't because the Venom Elemental Lich looked particularly terrifying, on the contrary, it still had a somewhat goofy and cute appearance. It was the power within it, chaotic and disorderly power that was exploding, far surpassing the Flame Elemental Lich summoned by the solidified Flame God's blood essence. Retreat, Lin Moyu shouted softly, quickly retreating at his fastest speed. All the skeletons also retreated immediately. The Venom Elemental Lich appeared in front of the Holy Spirit Angel as if it had teleported. Nearly 2 seconds later, the venom elemental lich silently exploded. Unlike the earth-shattering, sky-burning scene of the flame elemental lich's self-destruction, there was no sound when the venom elemental lich self-destructed. It only turned into a cloud of green toxic gas that covered a wide area of 10 kilometers. Lin Moyu saw the range of the toxic gas rapidly expanding, and his expression changed. He quickly fled. The lich's self-destruction did not distinguish between friend and foe. Lin Moyu didn't want to be the first professional to be killed by his own skill. Fortunately, he realized it quickly and escaped just a step ahead of the toxic gas. A few skeletons were not so lucky. They were immediately enveloped by the toxic gas, and were corroded, and dissolved within it. The damage was too great, the comprehensive connection talent was still useless, no different. Lin Moyu thought with lingering fear, the blood essence of a mid-rank god is this powerful. Compared to the solidified flame god's blood essence, the venom elemental lich was countless times stronger. Inside the green toxic gas, there was no sound. It was terrifyingly silent. The Holy Spirit Angel's holy fire had long been enveloped by the toxic gas, completely concealed. A second passed. Kill successful, Holy Spirit Angel. Experience 900 million. When the information panel popped up, Lin Moyu breathed a sigh of relief. The Holy Spirit Angel was finally dead, yielding a total of 900 million experience points. Judging from this amount of experience, it seemed the Holy Spirit Angel and the Flame Demon King were on the same level. The Flame Demon King was indeed one of the weakest demon kings, only equivalent to a pseudo-god. Perhaps the Flame Demon King was slightly stronger, but his strength was definitely limited. His experience bar increased by a large amount, about 30, equivalent to killing over 20,000 ordinary level 70 monsters. But the number of skeletons lost had exceeded 3,000. Lin Moyu felt he had suffered a loss. If he had the chance in the future, he would definitely go to the Holy See to demand justice. It didn't matter who was right or wrong, what mattered was whose fist was bigger. Justice belonged to the one with the bigger fist. In the human world, at the Holy See, a statue of an angel was emitting a sparkling light. The glowing statue alarmed the higher-ups in the church. Many people came here. They knew that the Holy Templars had sacrificed themselves to summon the Holy Spirit Angel. They must have encountered a very difficult enemy, otherwise, they wouldn't have done so. An order was immediately given to investigate who was sacrificing themselves. The results came back quickly. 3 people had sacrificed themselves, one of whom was Chris. Hearing this news, everyone's expression changed. Chris was the Holy Son of the Holy See, the next in line to be the Pope. It was unexpected that he would meet with such an accident. The Holy See immediately prepared a resurrection ritual. Chris's soul had been marked, and he could be revived even after death. While they were busy, a beam of green light suddenly descended from the sky onto the angel statue. The angel statue turned completely green, and then collapsed with a boom. Everyone here was extremely shocked and terrified. The toxins of the venom elemental lich had traveled through the path of space-time and descended upon the Holy See, destroying the angel statue. Originally, even if the Holy Spirit Angel died in battle, as long as the statue remained, it could be summoned again after some time. But now that the angel statue was destroyed, there was no way to summon the Holy Spirit Angel anymore. For the Holy See, this was an unbearable loss. In the Holy See, there were only 2 angel statues. In the main hall, there were 2 angel statues and 1 statue of the King of Gods. Now, one of the angel statues had completely collapsed. It was unknown how many years it would take to rebuild it. Lin Moyu didn't know what had happened at the Holy See. A venom elemental lich, glowing green, was circling in front of him. After self-destructing, the venom elemental lich had restored itself to its corresponding level. What Lin Moyu had used was the blood essence of the venom god, a mid-rank god. The blood essence contained a terrifying power of the venom god. The Holy Spirit Angel had been corroded and dissolved without a trace by the extremely potent poison from the self-destruction. Even its true form, the statue in the distant Holy See, had been destroyed by the venom that had traveled through the path of space-time. Lin Moyu looked at the still, circling venom elemental lich and couldn't help but sigh at the power of the venom god. A single drop of its blood essence could kill a pseudo-god, yet such a powerful venom god had ultimately been killed by someone else. What exactly happened that year? The great battle ended, and the wind and lightning sea quickly began to recover. After collecting the wind and lightning seaweed cluster and taking out the lightning seaweed from within, Lin Moyu continued to fly towards the wind and lightning continent. Encountering Chris and his group was just an unexpected event. For Lin Moyu, it had only delayed him a little. He immediately put the matter behind him. He had slowed down a bit now. While flying, Lin Moyu summoned berserker skeletons to replenish his losses. Dense lightning bolts fell on Lin Moyu, and alongside the lightning, the wind became bone-killingly cold. The wind was like blades, combining with the lightning to continuously strike his body. Gale like knives, lightning like swords. This was the origin of the name Wind and Lightning Sea. His bone armor glowed brilliantly and was repeatedly blasted into fragments. At first, Lin Moyu kept reapplying it, but then he couldn't be bothered. After all, he still had many skeleton comrades to help share the damage, enough for him to endure until he reached the wind and lightning continent. At that point, he would just summon the Lich General to start healing. The rest of the journey was relatively smooth. 20 minutes later, Lin Moyu had flown across the wind and lightning sea and officially entered the wind and lightning continent. He stopped on a cliff by the coast. The wind and lightning had disappeared. He summoned the Undead Legion so the Lich General could begin healing. In the meantime, Lin Moyu observed the wind and lightning continent. If one were to rank the danger levels of the places in the lower space, the Divine Dragon continent in the east was the safest. The Wilderness continent in the south, and the Wind and Lightning continent in the north were about the same. The Falling Star continent in the west was the most dangerous. Among them, the Divine Dragon continent was basically a stronghold of the human race, with the largest population. On the Wind and Lightning continent, the number of humans had decreased significantly, while the number of demons and dragons was much higher. On the surface, the three races coexisted, but when they met, it would turn into a fight to the death. It had been like this for countless years and could not be changed. The hatred between the races was deeply ingrained in their bones, almost impossible to change. Lin Moyu had seen this in the documents, and was fully prepared for a series of upcoming battles. He took out the map to check. His current location was about 10,000 kilometers from the Thunder Burial Valley. At his current speed, it would take at least 4 hours to get there. However, that was under the condition of not encountering any obstacles. He couldn't say for sure how much time it would actually take. The Undead Legion had fully recovered, and the lost Berserker skeletons had been replenished. Lin Wei's figure flickered, and he shot like a flash of lightning towards the Thunder Burial Valley. His courage was now much greater than when he first arrived in the lower space. Back then, when encountering monsters of level 80 or above, Lin Moyu would subconsciously retreat first. Only if he really couldn't avoid it would he fight back. But now, Lin Moyu clearly understood his own strength. As long as he didn't encounter a perverted world-class boss like the giant leaf mother tree, he was not afraid of anything else. In the abyss, Mina knelt respectfully before the Seduction Demon King. Great King, Lin Moyu has indeed appeared in the lower space. She recounted how she had met Lin Moyu, not hiding the fact that she had retreated without a fight. In her view, it was perfectly normal to flee to protect her life when she couldn't defeat Lin Moyu. For the sake of her life, she didn't care about so-called face. The Seduction Demon King did not reprimand her but closed her eyes, looking thoughtful. Lin Moyu is only level 52, yet he can go to the lower space. The last time you saw him was in the central area of the upper space. It seems Lin Moyu has met that one. Only that person has the ability to send Lin Moyu to the lower space. Mina looked up, not knowing who that one the Seduction Demon King was referring to. However, it was definitely an extraordinary and terrifying existence. She knew very well that even the Seduction Demon King didn't have the ability to bring people below level 70 into the lower space. The Seduction Demon King smiled playfully. In that case, it seems certain that that one has made some kind of deal with Lin Moyu. But whatever they traded has nothing to do with me. Since Lin Moyu has appeared in the lower space, this is a good opportunity for us. Mina, inform the Black Sky Demon King that Lin Moyu has arrived in the lower space. If he wants to kill him, now is the best time. If he wants to send people to the lower space, you will guide them. You must have left a mark on Lin Moyu, right? Mina immediately replied, I have. Besides being skilled in seducing hearts and controlling souls, the Seduction Demon race had another ability, to silently leave a mark. Mina's level was 83, so Lin Moyu would never have discovered that she had left a mark on him. Mina followed the Seduction Demon King's instructions and went to find the Black Sky Demon King. After she left, the Seduction Demon King smiled charmingly. The Demon Emperor's command, this servant cannot disobey. What needs to be done must be done. But as for dying, let that Black Sky Demon King go. This servant will just watch the show. With her ladder, the abyssal flames in the Seduction Demon King's palace flickered continuously, revealing a strange aura. After entering the Wind and Lightning continent, Lin Moyu encountered his first Thunder Tree. On this continent, there were two most common types of plants. One was the Wind Flower, and the other was the Thunder Tree. Thunder trees often attracted lightning, so each Thunder Tree was occasionally struck by lightning. After receiving 1,000 lightning strikes, the Thunder Tree would grow 1 centimeter taller. After enduring over 1,000 lightning strikes, the Thunder Tree would become a platinum-grade material. The more lightning strikes it received, the better the quality of the material. After receiving 100,000 lightning strikes, the remaining Thunder Trees were quasi-legendary materials. According to legend, after enduring 10 million lightning strikes, the remaining Thunder Trees were legendary materials. However, this was still just a legend. No one had ever seen one. 10 million lightning strikes, us thinking about it was terrifying. Although Thunder Trees were very good materials, they were also an extremely dangerous existence. They were not ordinary trees but plant-type monsters. Moreover, they often lived in groups. It was fine if you didn't provoke them, but if someone did, they would attack collectively. This was extremely frightening. Lin Moyu saw that this entire mountain range was covered with thunder trees, countless in number. He personally witnessed a large amount of lightning descend upon the thunder trees, causing the entire mountain to light up, so bright it was blinding. Lin Moyu flew past, with no intention of provoking them. His current goal was the Thunder Burial Valley. Suddenly, a few black dots appeared in front of him. The black dots passed through the curtain of lightning, and grew larger in an instant. Dragon race warships. Lin Moyu's pupils contracted slightly. He didn't expect to encounter dragon race warships here. However, these dragon race warships were a bit strange. They seemed to be heading towards him. Lin Moyu wondered when the dragon race had discovered him. 8 dragon race warships immediately charged straight towards Lin Moyu. The moment he arrived at the Wind and Lightning Gorge, they had discovered him. The dragon race aura on Lin Moyu's body was too strong. This kind of aura did not fade over the years but would continuously accumulate. The dragon race aura on Lin Moyu was very dense, proving that he had killed at least 10,000 dragons, maybe even more. So in the eyes of the dragon race, Lin Moyu was like a flame in the dark night, easily noticeable. Lin Moyu was a bit surprised, but after careful thought, he understood the reason. When he first entered the eternal battlefield, he had killed a dragon, and at that time, he was easily discovered by the dragon race. Thinking back now, it was probably because of this that he had been tracked by the dragon race early on. Lin Moyu immediately stopped and waited for them to come. The 8 dragon race warships looked different from before. The shape of the warships was about 1/3 smaller, faster, and also seemed more powerful. If the dragon race warships he had seen before were at the primary level, then these were at the advanced level. The speed of the warships was very fast. When he first saw them, they were still over 10,000 meters away. In the blink of an eye, they had covered more than half the distance. That's fast, even faster than me, Lin Moyu calculated in his mind. The speed of these warships was over 2,000 meters per second, much faster than him. As such, unless he stopped flying and landed on the ground, he would not be able to escape. When the distance was only 3,000 meters, the 8 dragon race warships lit up in unison. 8 huge energy columns shot rapidly towards Lin Moyu. The dragon race warships began to activate their arrays. The magic crystals shone brightly, creating an incredibly powerful attack. Lin Moyu reacted immediately, quickly controlling his wings to dodge to the side. The 8 approaching dragon race warships continuously launched attacks. Unfortunately, Lin Moyu was extremely agile, so it was difficult to hit him. The role of warships was not to damage mobile targets. Siege warfare was their primary role. When attacking fixed targets, warships were much more effective. But against a small and agile target like Lin Moyu, it was like using an anti-aircraft cannon to shoot a mosquito. It was impossible to hit. Lin Moyu's sixth sense was extremely sharp. His spiritual power spread outwards, so he could predict the attacks. He quickly dodged the waves of attacks, then hastily flew closer to the warships. He raised a finger slightly, but then retracted it. Lin Moyu looked at the large number of thunder trees on the mountain below. If his curse descended at this time, countless thunder trees would probably cause trouble for him. Although he wasn't too afraid, Lin Moyu had learned his lesson about provoking the weak only to call out the strong. If he ended up calling out a world-class thunder tree boss, it would be even more troublesome. Can't use the curse. Can't use venom explosion either. Area of effect attack skills are not suitable. Lin Moyu thought for a moment, then suddenly shot up, quickly reaching an altitude of 2,000 meters. The dragon race warships also chased after him, flying up together. In the space above 2,000 meters, although he still couldn't use the curse of decrepitude and venom explosion, things like corpse explosion and the elemental lich's auras were not affected. Lin Moyu immediately released his entire undead legion and the elemental lich. The flame elemental lich was gone, replaced by the venom elemental lich. In an instant, layers of auras appeared at the feet of every skeleton. 6 great auras alternated. Tens of thousands of lightning bolts descended on the dragon race warships. All the lightning struck down at once, a terrifying and magnificent sight. It struck the warships' protective shields until they deformed. Layers of ice formed on the outer surface of the warships, and their speed suddenly slowed down. Not only that, but the power of the auras also penetrated the protective shields and directly affected the dragon race soldiers inside. The venom aura caused a similar situation. Over 30,000 venom auras stacked together, causing over 30,000 points of damage per second to the dragon race soldiers. This was like a relentless attack power of 30,000 points, hammering down on each of them every second. No one could withstand it. The healers on the dragon race warships began to frantically cast their spells. The warships continuously counter-attacked, the magic crystals operating at full capacity, unleashing a massive barrage of attacks. The berserker skeletons immediately charged forward to meet the assault head. They dodged almost all of the attacks, only a few random ones that couldn't be avoided struck them. The attacks of the dragon race warships had not reached a level where they could instantly take down the berserker skeletons. The comprehensive connection talent allowed them to share the damage with each other. The mages and sharpshooters advanced a step to join the fray. Their inclusion put the protective barrier of the dragon race warships in immense jeopardy. Dragon race soldiers continuously charged out from the warships. They also knew that the warships couldn't deal with the skeletons, so they had to take matters into their own hands. They couldn't believe that a human could be this powerful. They had intended to use a butcher's knife to kill a chicken, but now they were the ones being besieged. Lin Moyu saw the groups of dragon race soldiers charging out. All of them were dragon race battle generals, and all were above level 70. Level 70 was the lowest level here. Over 1,000 dragon race battle generals surged out from the warships, which made Lin Moyu feel that something was not right. Strange, there's something off about these dragon race battle generals. Lin Moyu had fought with dragon race battle generals before and had killed a few. All of those battle generals were extremely agile, and there seemed to be light in their eyes. But the battle generals before him looked extremely dull, like puppets. Moreover, their appearance, height, and armor were all identical. Besides their different professions, it was impossible to find any difference between any two of them. Lin Moyu's thought process was very fast. In just a second, he had scanned through all his memories related to the dragon race. The dragon race members he had encountered on the eternal battlefield in the upper space were very agile, and they were all beings with their own thoughts. Then, the dragon race members he encountered on the primordial battlefield became strange. At that time, he had felt something was wrong. They looked extremely dull, but he was preoccupied with the issue of killing intent and didn't think much about it. Thinking back now, the dragon race members on the battlefield were extremely abnormal. There was definitely a problem. And the ones before him seemed to be the same. An unbelievable guess suddenly appeared in Lin Moyu's mind. Could the dragon race have found some kind of breakthrough, allowing them to create a large number of war puppets? If they could mass-produce level 70 dragon race battle generals like this, it would be too terrifying. War puppets were not something new, they had appeared in historical records. The dragon race had brought these war puppets to the battlefield before. However, the war puppets recorded in the documents were either extremely weak or very few in number, but now it seemed things were different. After thousands of years of seclusion, it seemed the dragon race had made new progress. The dragon race battle generals had begun to engage with the berserker skeletons. Lin Moyu didn't intervene, but began to observe carefully. Gradually, he found some clues. The fighting style of these battle generals was quite individualistic, and their combat methods were monotonous and simple. Besides the power of their skills, their strength, speed, and physique were similar to that of a dragon race battle general, but their actual combat capabilities were different. Lin Moyu used a detection spell to prove his guess. Dragon race Lancer normal battle general level, 70 strength, 250,000. Agility, 180,000 spirit, 20,000 physique, 200,000 skills, sweeping strike traits, enhanced defensive power, enhanced dragon scale armor, enhanced resistance to curses. A normal level 70 dragon race battle general had a total of 650,000 in attributes, which was not strong at all. This was in line with Lin Moyu's understanding of the dragon race. The dragon race could be divided into 3 levels, normal, high level, and ancestor, based on different bloodline levels. The attributes of a normal dragon race member were slightly stronger than a few human professionals, but not as strong as a legendary grade professional. Even considering attributes alone, a high-level dragon race member was much stronger than a legendary grade professional. Even a high-level legendary grade professional was slightly inferior to a high-level dragon race member. As for the ancestor-level dragon race, they could be compared to the top-tier human professionals. Among the simple attributes of the 3 races, the demons were the strongest, the dragon race was second, and the human race was the weakest. But combat capability couldn't be divided just by attributes, skills and coordination also counted. Among the 3 races, the human race was not weak at all. Especially after surpassing level 70, humans unlocked the ability to fly, and could even be said to surpass the other 2 races. However, when Lin Moyu looked at this attribute panel, he felt something was very unusual. The total attributes were correct, but why was the spirit so low? Lin Moyu thought that a level 70 dragon race member couldn't possibly have only 20,000 spirit points. This was too abnormal. Then, Lin Moyu's eyes lit up. He saw that there were still a few dragon race members on the warships. These dragon race members clearly looked different. Their eyes were lively, and their expressions were rich. When they saw the team of battle generals being beaten by the berserker skeletons to the point where they couldn't fight back, they all became anxious. Looking at the battle generals who were fighting, they knew they couldn't defeat their opponents, but their expressions didn't change at all, still fighting recklessly as before. Now, Lin Moyu was 70% sure that these dragon race battle generals were not real dragons but war puppets. It was just that this type of war puppet was quite special, even the detection spell was deceived by them. Lin Moyu wanted to get to the bottom of this. In the minute that Lin Moyu was thinking, the 1,000 dragon race battle generals were slaughtered cleanly. The dragon race members on the warships revealed looks of horror. They opened their mouths and roared loudly. Lin Moyu guessed they were saying run. As expected, the dragon race warships immediately turned around and flew straight into the distance. Lin Moyu watched them leave and didn't give chase. The speed of the dragon race warships was very fast. At his current speed, he couldn't catch up even if he wanted to. Remember the direction. The wind and lightning gorge is not in the same direction. I'll go to the Thunder Burial Valley first, and then I'll investigate this when I come back. He muttered to himself, then recalled the undead legion, and flew into the distance. The matter of the dragon race needed to be clarified, but there was no need to rush. He would go to the Thunder Burial Valley first, and get the item Antares wanted. Lin Moyu memorized the direction, ignored the dragon race warship, and left. He continued towards the Thunder Burial Valley. Antares had said that it was not good to enter the Thunder Burial Valley after surpassing level 80. Lin Moyu had reason to believe that the lower the level, the better it was to enter the Thunder Burial Valley. Lin Moyu was best at unraveling cocoons, analyzing problems from every word. In a flash, he flew over this mountain range. Looking from the air, the length of this mountain range had to be over 1,000 kilometers, like a giant dragon entrenched on the earth. It was covered with thunder trees, from newly born saplings to ancient trees. If you provoked one of them, it was very likely to be attacked collectively. Just as Lin Moyu flew past the mountain range, he happened to see a sky-shattering lightning bolt descending. At that moment, the entire mountain range lit up. Lin Moyu was horrified to see a terrifying aura rise from the mountain. At that moment, Lin Moyu almost felt like a god had descended. That aura was much stronger than the pseudo-god level Holy Spirit Angel. However, Lin Moyu knew that the opponent could not be at the god level, probably at most level 89. Although it was not god level, in this mountain range, where the power of countless thunder trees converged, even a true god level expert might not be able to gain any advantage. As for a pseudo-god, there would be no chance of survival. It's true, you try to bully the weak but encounter the strong. No wonder there were so many high-quality thunder trees here, but no one was mining them. After flying over the mountain range, Lin Moyu breathed a sigh of relief. He was also afraid that if the thunder trees had followed him, it would have been a headache. Fortunately, nothing happened. He was safe. The sound of thunder gradually faded, leaving a large amount of lightning far behind. There was no more thunder and lightning ahead. The wind and lightning continent had many mountains, many lakes, and many gorges. Basically, the terrain of this place consisted of these three types, undulating with little flat land. A sudden gust of wind blew, and then many petals appeared before his eyes. The petals floated freely in the air. The space between heaven and earth was originally windless, but when these petals danced, they created many gusts of wind. The wind flowers on the wind and lightning continent were the second type of plant, ace monster. Wind flowers did not live on the ground, they were in mid-air. They flew everywhere with the wind, very difficult to grasp. According to the documents, except for the areas with thunder trees, one could encounter wind flowers anywhere and at any time. Encountering thunder trees was not dangerous as long as you didn't provoke them, but encountering wind flowers was different. Lin Moyu had been very careful but still had to face them head-on, with no warning before the encounter. These petals flew extremely fast, much faster than Lin Moyu. Moreover, they were always silent. By the time Lin Moyu discovered them, it was too late. Then a fierce gale roared, and a large number of petals swept straight towards Lin Moyu. At the same time, waves of floral fragrance began to spread, filling the entire space. Wind flowers were plant-type monsters, but they were also a fairly good material for refining medicine. When they launched an attack, their petals would release a scent that could cause people to hallucinate and get lost in them. However, even the scent of the illusionary dream flower could not affect Lin Moyu. The wind flowers created a whirlwind that crashed into Lin Moyu. His bone armor sparkled, blocking the entire attack. Lin Moyu extended a finger and lit up a white light. Just because the thunder trees didn't move didn't mean the wind flowers wouldn't. According to the information Fang Yiming had given, wind flowers usually moved in small groups, and there would be no boss among them. Only when a large number of wind flowers acted together would a boss appear. Compared to the thunder trees, dealing with wind flowers was much simpler. Skill, Bone Fang. It had been a long time since he had used this skill. The level 52 Bone Fang had 3,152 fangs. They roared as they shot out, covering a large area. The petals dancing in the air all dodged to the sides, their speed incredibly fast, as if they were teleporting. All the bone fangs missed. Lin Moyu was stunned. They're that fast. He tried a few more times, but the result was the same. The bone fangs couldn't aim accurately at all. According to the documents, the speed of wind flowers was very fast, but he didn't expect it to be this fast. He used a detection spell on one of the flowers. Wind flower level 72 strength, 100,000 agility, 300,000 spirit, 150,000 physique, 180,000 skills, illusionary fragrance, pollen vortex burst traits, 70 wind element immunity, enhanced speed limit. Total attributes were only 730,000, not very high. But among them, agility accounted for 300,000, which was what allowed the wind flowers to far surpass other monsters of the same level. Speed, plus their own wind element attribute, and the enhanced speed limit trait. No wonder the speed is so fast. There were currently over 100 wind flowers. Using the soul flame was naturally not a good idea. Then I'll make you slow down. Lin Moyu pointed his finger, and a brilliant red light filled the sky. There were no thunder trees on the ground now, so he didn't have to hold back. Inside the red light, the speed of the wind flowers immediately slowed down. Lin Moyu smiled brightly. The curse skill was extremely useful against ordinary monsters. The wind flowers now floated lazily, like a slow ocean film. Not just him, but even a level 20 professional could aim accurately. But a second later, he couldn't smile anymore. A dense array of red swords appeared in the air, not just tens of thousands, but in the air and even on the ground. The clouds dispersed, and a dense number of wind flowers appeared above his head. These wind flowers had been there for who knows how long, hidden in the clouds, and Lin Moyu hadn't detected them at all. And the wind flowers on the ground were hiding in the bushes, certainly impossible to find. The curse's source was three-dimensional, with an area of about 12,600 meters, covering so many wind flowers that Lin Moyu couldn't count them. If it was just ordinary wind flowers, it would be fine. No matter how many came, he wouldn't be afraid. The important thing was that among them were a few wind flowers with very special shapes and powerful auras, definitely lower-level bosses. In the sky, there was also a wind flower slowly descending, its petals huge, with a diameter of over 100 meters. Needless to say, this was a world-class boss. Lin Moyu felt he had been checkmated. A fierce wind began to howl, and in an instant, a terrifying attack was upon him. Damn it, Lin Moyu didn't think any more, took out a random teleportation scroll, and activated it. A flash of light, and he was gone. A strong wind swept past Lin Moyu's position. The bustling wind flowers stopped there, not knowing what had just happened. A few hundred kilometers away, Lin Moyu's figure gradually reappeared. That was close. Lin Moyu muttered. How could he have expected there would be so many wind flowers? Now he understood why the documents said wind flowers were more dangerous than thunder trees. After all, thunder trees were on the surface. If you didn't provoke them, they wouldn't attack you. But wind flowers would hide, ready to find you at any time. At first, he thought there weren't many, but when he fought back, he realized they were everywhere. If he had been a second slower just now, it would have been very difficult to escape. He might have even been entangled with a world-class boss of that level, and the teleportation scroll might have become ineffective. If he had been forced to fight, it wouldn't have been impossible, but he would have had to pay a great price. The top priority now was still to resolve the matter in the Thunder Burial Valley, so he wouldn't have to worry about it later. At that time he would fight a real battle, even if it turned the sky and earth upside down, it wouldn't matter. If he really couldn't win, he could also teleport to the abyss. He took out the map to check the direction below. The distance to the Thunder Burial Valley was a little farther than before. He adjusted his direction and continued on his way. This time, Lin Moyu had lowered his altitude and was more focused to avoid running into wind flowers again. This time was much smoother. After flying for about half an hour, covering over 1,000 kilometers, he didn't encounter any more wind flowers, but he did encounter quite a few thunder trees. However, they were all small clusters of thunder trees, still young and not struck by lightning many times. At most, they could be considered platinum-grade materials. Lin Moyu didn't want to waste any more time, so he flew past them without stopping. Very quickly, Lin Moyu arrived in front of a gorge. Above the gorge, a fierce wind was howling. With the naked eye, one could see a whirlwind swirling in the air. Inside the gorge, the wind gusted and swirled continuously, and countless giant rocks were swept up, dancing in the air. According to the map, this was the Whirlwind Gorge. The two thunder pools on either side of the Whirlwind Gorge were even more dangerous. If he took a detour, he would have to travel an extra 5,000 kilometers, which would not only waste time but could also lead to other dangers. Generally speaking, going through the Whirlwind Gorge was the most reasonable option. Lin Moyu analyzed the situation before him. Looking towards the two sides of the gorge, he could faintly see flashes of lightning in the air. This was the thunder pool drawn on the map. The thunder pool was like a full moon, and the Whirlwind Gorge was the sword piercing through the two full moons. Moreover, the map also clearly stated that in the thunder pool, there was a level 85 world-class boss, and there were two of them. Fighting one would attract the other. After thinking for a moment, Lin Moyu decided to go through the Whirlwind Gorge. After putting on another layer of bone armor, His wings of the undead and lightning vibrated slightly and carried him inside. Somewhere on the wind and lightning continent, a space-time passage appeared, and a group of demons rushed out. Mina sensed for a moment, then pointed towards the whirlwind gorge and said, "I sense him. He's over there." The wind and lightning continent. If it's not wind, it's thunder, or both at the same time. This was the first sentence in the documents back then. At that time, Lin Moyu had a deep experience. Inside the whirlwind gorge, the fierce wind roared, and a large amount of rock was swept up high, spinning in the air. Not to mention these rocks weighing hundreds of pounds. Even rocks weighing thousands or tens of thousands of pounds could be blown into the sky. Just as Lin Moyu entered the gorge, he was almost swept away by the whirlwind. There was no way to stabilize his wings of the undead and lightning, so Lin Moyu had to switch to walking. The rock in the gorge was extremely hard. Even if Lin Moyu went all out, it would be difficult to destroy it. But not long after he entered the gorge, he saw the rock being torn apart by two whirlwinds, finally splitting in half. This scene made Lin Moyu extremely vigilant. In his eyes, the whirlwind gorge was very dangerous, but according to the data, the danger level of the whirlwind gorge was only medium, while the danger level on both sides of the thunder pool was high. At the same time, the whirlwind gorge was also marked as having a high danger level. This standard was for professionals above level 70. Generally speaking, if it didn't threaten a top professional above level 80, it was considered a medium danger area. If it could endanger a top professional, it was a high danger area. There was no world-class boss in the whirlwind gorge. The only boss was a lore level 1, plus some common monsters, not many in number. And inside the whirlwind, as long as you were careful, there wasn't much danger. Compared to the two thunder pools, it was indeed much safer. Lin Moyu quickly adjusted his mentality, and walked through the gorge, careful not to fall into a state of chaos, while also observing his surroundings. As the whirlwinds carved up the earth time and again, countless large and small caves appeared. The monsters of the whirlwind gorge were hiding in the caves. As he passed by, the monsters hiding inside rushed out, and attacked him. The monster of the whirlwind gorge was called the whirlwind lizard. It was shaped like a lizard, with a slender body like a snake. The whirlwind lizard had a strong wind attribute, and its entire body was wrapped in a whirlwind, becoming a natural layer of defense. Moreover, its scales were very thick. The combination of the two greatly increased its defensive strength. The whirlwind lizard's defense was extremely tough, but fortunately, its attack was not very strong. For Lin Moyu, dealing with the whirlwind lizard was not a difficult task. No matter how fast the whirlwind lizards were, Lin Moyu never gave them a chance to get ahead. The berserker skeletons always walked in front of him. When they reached a cave entrance, they would block it, one by one. The giant axe at this moment had turned into a shield, completely sealing the entrance of the cave. The whirlwind lizards inside could not get out. A level 52 berserker skeleton, blessed by the Lich General, had a strength of up to 410,000. Although not as good as a level 70 boss, it was much stronger than a common level 70 monster. In terms of strength, even common level 80 monsters couldn't compare to the berserker skeleton. The entrance to the cave was firmly blocked. No matter how much the whirlwind lizards inside charged, they couldn't break through. After moving away, Lin Moyu put away the berserker skeletons. At this time, if the whirlwind lizards rushed out again, they would soon lose their target. In this way, Lin Moyu only needed to avoid the whirlwind, and the difficulty was greatly reduced. The medium difficulty whirlwind gorge became a flat road in front of him. In less than 2 hours, Lin Moyu had crossed the 1,000-mile-long whirlwind gorge. The gorge was like a sharp sword, with a slightly narrow exit. Lin Moyu left the whirlwind gorge and flew up. The journey of only 1,000 miles had taken him 2 hours. If he could have flown, it would definitely not have taken half an hour. Boom, the sky and earth lit up, and lightning fell like rain. Lin Moyu stood in the air and looked to both sides. Not far away was the thunder pool, a world of lightning. In the sky, there was not only lightning, on the ground, there was a sea of lightning plasma. This lake was not originally a lake of water, but a plasma formed by lightning so dense that it melted the earth like flowing water. Lin Moyu had never seen such powerful lightning before. If not for the existence of a strange place like the Whirlwind Gorge, it would have been very difficult for him to cross the Thunder Pool, not to mention that there were 2 world-class bosses inside. Lin Moyu vaguely saw a team of professionals fighting deep in the lightning. Those who could come to the Thunder Pool were at least top-tier professionals of level 85. Some had even reached level 88 and become demigod existences. Only in this way could they ensure their safety. When Lin Moyu looked over, the other party had already noticed him. After confirming that Lin Moyu was a human professional, he paid no more attention. Lin Moyu found his direction, and continued to fly towards the Thunder Burial Valley. Manga led a group of demons towards Lin Moyu. Their speed was very fast, much faster than Lin Moyu. Manga quickly sensed Lin Moyu's direction. She held a map in her hand and looked at his direction. He's probably going to the Thunder Burial Valley. What is he going there for? Manga was puzzled. A demon sneered, whatever he's going to do, we'll catch up and kill him. Another demon said, besides, what he does is none of our business. The Demon King is making too much of a fuss. To kill a level 52 human, we still need our squad to act. Mina said nothing, feeling quite disdainful in her heart. This time, they were accompanied by the elite team under the Black Sky Demon King. The elite team consisted of a total of 10 demons, each with a level above 80. Some were good at close combat, some were good at long-range attacks, and some were good at control. This type of team formation was extremely rare among demons. It was formed based on the reference of experts from the human and dragon races. After actually experiencing a great war, it was proven that this coordinated method was more effective than fighting alone. The combat efficiency was greatly improved. The squad leader, Huolai, was a level 83 level demon, and also the top thug under the Black Sky Demon King. A level demon had a very high status among demons, second only to a demon king. Its attributes were comparable to those of a level boss of the same level. Its ancestor bloodline could be compared to that of the dragon race, and it could also compete with the top-tier professionals of the human race. Especially after becoming a level demon king, he would be an invincible existence among demon kings of the same level, much stronger than the Flame Demon King. To ensure that they could kill Lin Moyu this time, the Black Sky Demon King had asked the usually inactive Huolai to act. Huolai whispered, "Don't underestimate Lin Moyu. Even the Flame Demon King was killed by him." A demon sneered, "Squad leader, you believe that? A level 52 human killing a demon king is probably just the humans bragging. The Flame Demon King must have encountered other god-level experts from the human race, and was besieged and killed." As the demons discussed, Mina said nothing, thinking to herself, "Those who underestimate Lin Moyu are all dead. Anyway, if you want to fight, go ahead. When I get the chance, I'll run away." She was tightly holding a teleportation stone in her hand. This was given to her by the Flame Demon King of a very high level, and could break through the barriers set by demons. He had also added that if there was any problem, she should run away and not care about the life or death of others. Demons were all selfish, and Mina was no exception. Huolai whispered, "Mina, how far are we from Lin Moyu?" When he looked at Mina, his eyes were burning. Not just him, but the other demons too. However, his gaze was more direct and aggressive. Mina replied, "We can block him before he reaches the Thunder Burial Valley. I've looked at the map, and there are no dangerous areas on the way. As long as we don't encounter a large group of wind flowers, there won't be any problem." Huolai nodded. "Good." Mina could feel the disdain in Huolai's eyes. "Look, go ahead and look. Maybe you won't have a chance to look later." For some reason, she felt that Huolai was very likely to die at the hands of Lin Moyu. Since he was a dead man, letting him look a few more times was fine. Besides, she was a succubus, wasn't being attractive normal. Thinking this, Mina exuded a stronger seductive aura. Huolai's eyes burned even hotter. If not for the Demon King's mission, Huolai would have liked to have a deep exchange with Mina right here. At this time, Lin Moyu had stopped. A team of dragon race members had blocked his path. This was the second time he had encountered the dragon race, and both times, the dragon race had taken the initiative to find him. Lin Moyu had killed too many dragon race members. His hands were stained with their blood, and his body was filled with the resentment left by the dragon race before they died. In the eyes of other dragon race members, Lin Moyu was like a blazing sun in the sky, visible even from a great distance. The team blocking Lin Moyu's path only had 10 members. Judging from the aura on their bodies, they were all level 70 dragon race battle generals. Lin Moyu didn't even put them in his eyes. There was even a hint of pity in his eyes. Without letting the dragon race surround him, a large number of skeletons appeared, directly surrounding the opponents. Not a single extra word was spoken. When different races met, it was a fight to the death. He had let the dragon race warship escape before, but now, none of these guys would escape. Lin Moyu couldn't use the curse. The range of the curse was too large, covering about 10,000 meters. Heaven knows if there were any hidden wind flowers around. If he accidentally provoked them, it would be a big trouble. The expressions of the dragon race battle generals changed drastically, revealing looks of fear. Lin Moyu nodded. These are real dragons, not puppets. War puppets would not feel fear, but real dragons would. It could be seen from their eyes. When they were surrounded by skeletons, their faces turned ashen, and their hearts were filled with fear. All living beings feared death, and the dragon race was no exception. But fear was useless, death would come as scheduled. Their resistance was like a joke. In just a few seconds, they were drowned in the sea of skeletons. He had harvested a lot of military merit. He skillfully stripped off their equipment. The equipment of these dragon race battle generals looked quite good and could be smelted to refine materials. When Lin Moyu returned to the upper space, he killed people, robbed them, and stripped their equipment. After dealing with these matters, Lin Moyu continued towards the Thunder Burial Valley. The wind and lightning continent was indeed the world of the dragon and demon races. The two races were clearly divided, with the center of the continent as the boundary. The south of the wind and lightning continent was the territory of the dragon race, and the north was the territory of the demon race. And the Thunder Burial Valley was located in the central region, leaning towards the south, so it belonged to the territory of the dragon race. There were quite a few dragon race members passing through this area. On the way, Lin Moyu encountered several teams of dragon race members, and he dealt with them all neatly, without much effort. After a few battles, Lin Moyu had a better understanding of his own strength. Even a normal level 80 dragon race battle general, he could easily take down with just a little effort. If it was a high-level bloodline dragon race battle general, it would be a bit more troublesome, but only a little. As for the ancestor bloodline, he hadn't encountered one yet. This dragon race bloodline was very rare, just like the rare top-tier professionals of the human race. Only a few appeared in each era. However, among the demon race, the number of lower-level demons would be relatively more, but only relatively. It was still extremely rare. Half a day later, Lin Moyu finally fought his way to the Thunder Burial Valley. On the way, at least 100 dragon race battle generals had died at his hands. He guessed that the dragon race was probably furious right now. Lin Moyu looked towards the Thunder Burial Valley a few hundred meters away. On the map, it was marked as a high-danger area. There was a world-class boss inside, and not just one. Even level 80 professionals who entered would have a risk of falling. The gorge was extremely quiet, not a sound. No thunder, no lightning, the space was extremely still. Starting from the wind and lightning sea, the wind, rain, thunder, and lightning had been continuous all the way. Now that it was so quiet, it was all the more strange. In his mind, he recalled Antares' expression at that time. The giant crystal that Antares had asked him to find was in the deepest part of the gorge. Lin Moyu took a deep breath and flew into the gorge. He had an abyss teleportation stone ready in his hand. The moment he saw something wrong, he would immediately run. The sound disappeared. The closer he got to the Thunder Burial Valley, the less sound he heard. His heartbeat became clearer and clearer, even the sound of his wings of the undead and lightning, the faint sound of lightning, was very clear. And there was a strange fragrance. A fragrance. Lin Moyu suddenly realized something was wrong. He had experienced this feeling before, he had smelled this fragrance before. A barrier appeared in an instant, enveloping Lin Moyu within it. A jiggle sounded. Mina appeared in mid-air, with Huolai close by her side. He led the elite demon army down from the sky, surrounding Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu secretly felt the abyss teleportation stone in his hand was not affected, and felt a little more at ease in his heart. He looked at Mina. Here to die again. Mina knew that her seduction was ineffective against Lin Moyu, so she didn't use her seduction ability. She just smiled at Lin Moyu. Lord Demon King asked me to send a message to Divine General Lin. Lin Moyu looked at her, not knowing what the hell she was up to. Lord Demon King said, he values you very much. The conditions offered to you before are still valid. If you agree, you can become the representative of Lord Demon King at any time. Moreover, the numerous Akubi under Lord Demon King will all be yours. Lin Moyu sneered. I'm human, not a half-breed. Mina's expression immediately turned cold. How could she not understand that Lin Moyu was scolding her, and even scolding all the abyss demons? Mina also sneered. In that case, you can go to hell. Then she looked at Huolai and said, Big brother Huolai, I'll leave it to you. Hearing Mina's slightly coquettish voice, Huolai immediately shivered and reached his peak. Alright, this demon will chop him up and feed him to the demon hounds. At this moment, Mina had crushed an abyss magic stone. The magic stone exploded into a brilliant flame, and the barrier immediately turned a deep blue. Abyssal fire burned fiercely in the barrier, exuding a strange power. This power acted on Lin Moyu's entire body. Mina said coldly, this is a special sealing stone designed for you human summoners. Unless you are a Ga-level summoner, your summoning spells will definitely be sealed. Without your summoning spells, what are you? Lin Moyu felt a strange power invading his body, but nothing changed. His passive skill, status immunity, made him immune to all negative statuses. What summoning seal? It's all useless. Kill. As Mina acted, Huolai roared angrily. A long black spear immediately appeared in his hand, and he charged towards Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu pointed a finger lightly. A white light flashed, and a bone prison was instantly activated. Bone prisons appeared on the bodies of several demons at the same time. Huolai roared, his power soaring, and he broke through the bone prison in almost an instant. As a level 83 lore-level demon, he was comparable to a lore-level boss. Except for his life force not being as high as a lore-level boss, he was not inferior in any way. His total attributes were over 3 million. His immense strength instantly shattered the bone prison. Die! Huolai excitedly charged towards Lin Moyu again. In his eyes, killing a level 52 kid was effortless. Suddenly, a red light flashed. Huo Lai found his speed had slowed down. A curse. His power surged, directly countering the power of the curse. His vision darkened. He saw a skeleton holding an axe. The skeleton raised its axe and chopped down at his head. There was not just one, in all 4 directions, above his head, and under his feet were all skeletons. In a flash, more than 10 axe blades with red light chopped down. Huo Lai roared angrily, his skill erupting. The long spear suddenly swept out fiercely. Bang, bang, bang. Several sounds, and he sent all the surrounding berserker skeletons flying. The curse's source was also shattered quite a bit. Although it hadn't fully recovered, it didn't affect the battle. Before he could take a breath, an elemental burst appeared, making him dizzy. With his defensive power, although the elemental burst would cause damage, it wouldn't affect him much. But he couldn't take it for long. Over 10,000 berserker skeletons, at least half of them were targeting him. Along with the elemental burst, there were also arrows from the sharpshooters. The arrows rained down on him, making him feel a stinging pain like being pricked by needles. Why isn't your summoning spell sealed? The Demon King's sealing stone can't have lost its effect. This is impossible. Mina's panicked voice sounded. Huo Lai turned his head to look, but in his field of vision, besides skeletons, there were only more skeletons. He couldn't see Mina at all. Huo Lai focused all his killing intent on Lin Moyu. To deal with a summoner, the best way was to kill the master. Kill. Huo Lai roared angrily and charged forward like a dragon. The spear stabbed towards Lin Moyu. All the skeletons in front of him were sent flying. A second later, he suddenly felt his head go numb. An unimaginably severe headache struck. Amidst a tragic scream, his charging momentum suddenly stopped, and he almost couldn't hold his long spear. From Mina's scream, one could tell she was full of doubt and panic. Lin Moyu's performance had once again changed her perception. How could Lin Moyu disregard the sealing stone that the seduction demon king had given? Moreover, Lin Moyu's skeletons were numerous. Not just numerous but also strong, terrifyingly strong. Mina was also surrounded by skeletons. She was not weak, after all, she was an elite demon. Although not as good as Huo Lai, it was not easy to kill her. She was only half a beat slower than Huo Lai in breaking out of the encirclement, and knocking away the skeletons. Her soft hands turned into sharp weapons, enough to contend with the axes of the berserker skeletons. Mina heard Huo Lai's challenging roar, and held a glimmer of hope in her heart. But less than half a second later, when Huo Lai's tragic scream sounded, her hope was dashed. Energy surged throughout her body. Countless exquisite small shields appeared in front of her, protecting her tightly. Skill. Succubus's shield. Wait for 30 seconds. If Huo Lai still hasn't killed Lin Moyu after 30 seconds, I'll leave. Mina said to herself. She raised her shield and curled up. Fortunately, Lin Moyu was not targeting her at the moment, so she could maintain the shield for a little longer. She no longer dared to confront Lin Moyu, and could only place her hope in Huo Lai. Clearly, the first time she met Lin Moyu, he was just an ant she could control at will. It hadn't been long, and he had progressed to this extent. Mina felt that she was the ant now. She didn't even have the courage to face Lin Moyu. Huo Lai endured the severe pain, and gripped his long spear again. Cursed soul attack, binding, summoning. How can there be such a comprehensive profession? Huo Lai suddenly remembered something. The black aura on his body shot up to the sky. In an instant, the demonic domain turned into a fiery domain. Immediately, Huo Lai's entire body was covered in dark green flames. Skill, flame body. This was his defensive skill, which could not only defend against physical and elemental attacks but also soul attacks. It could be considered a perfect defensive skill, on par with the ultimate defense of a human knight. The only drawback was that in the state of flame body, the attack power would be much weaker. But now, to face Lin Moyu's soul attack, this was the only way. He roared angrily, and charged forward. The skeletons were sent flying one after another. His aura locked onto Lin Moyu. He knew where Lin Moyu was, he hadn't moved a single step from the beginning. Under the flame body, the arrow attacks and elemental bursts were blocked. Suddenly, tens of thousands of lightning bolts descended. Huo Lai immediately felt numb. His whole body itched fiercely. A layer of green appeared on his body. Outside the green layer was a layer of ice. His speed slowed down a lot. Lightning strike, poison element, ice attack. Huo Lai felt he was going crazy. What are these messy skills? How can these unrelated skills appear on the same person? These skills were not of the same system, they were completely unrelated. But in the midst of battle, he couldn't retreat. He was a lord, level demon of the Abyss Spear demon race. Once he could become a demon king, he would be a lord, level demon king. Even a level 90 lord, level demon king had a status equal to a common level 93 demon king. This was the advantage of his bloodline, unparalleled. The dignity of his race was displayed at this moment, he absolutely could not retreat. After the elemental lich appeared, the skeletons became more agile, and their defense became stronger and stronger. Plus, the continuous damage attacks of the lightning aura, ice aura, and venom aura made the elite demon team completely stunned. All the demons had the same reaction. Lin Moyu was an anomaly. They felt like they were fighting an army with knights, supports, healers, melee, and even long-range fighters. Everything was there. A question appeared in the minds of the demons: how do we fight this? There's no way to deal with such an army. Lin Moyu stood in mid-air, observing the whole scene under the protection of the skeletons. These demons were very strong, all above level 80. Killing them was a bit strenuous. If he could use the Empower Minion skill, he was confident he could kill these guys instantly, and none of them would escape. But he was about to enter the Thunder Burial Valley, so it was better to save the Empower Minion skill. The other demons were easy to deal with, but this spear-wielding demon was quite strong. I remember encountering a spear-wielding demon in the upper space. He self-destructed in the end. They seemed to be of the same race. Lin Moyu thought to himself, if I can't kill him quickly, then I'll just torture him slowly. Anyway, they can't charge over here. The dense skeletons blocked all paths forward. Wu Lai maintained his flame body and charged straight ahead. But there were really too many skeletons. It was impossible to get through. It might have been possible before, but the flame body had weakened his attack power a lot, and the appearance of several auras had significantly increased the defense of the skeletons. After bravely charging forward, Hualai became a bird in a cage, a turtle in a jar. Why can't I move? Hualai was surrounded by skeletons and couldn't move. The skeletons continuously attacked him. The poison element in his body attacked continuously every second. The pain was incessant, like a knife stabbing into his body, very stable. The flame body could block external forces, but not internal ones. A little starlight exploded. Lin Moyu casually pressed on the venom explosion. The poison element immediately increased a lot, stabbing even deeper. After holding on for a few seconds, Hualai knew he couldn't continue like this. The flame body disappeared, and a pitch-black demonic domain rushed out, this time even stronger than before. Hualai shouted, "Summon the demon ancestor." His voice echoed throughout the barrier. The besieged demons roared angrily at the same time, releasing a huge amount of black aura. The pitch-black demonic domain gathered in mid-air, forming a barrier, blocking all the skeletons from getting close.